What if Naruto had decay? Not a jutsu, not a tailed beast power, but a touch that turns everything to dust. Imagine the battlefield going silent as Naruto lifts his hand, and the ground beneath his fingers begins to crack. Dark fractures spread like spiderwebs across stone and steel. One step forward, and buildings crumble. One touch, and entire armies collapse into ash. No explosions, no warning, just silent, unstoppable disintegration. What if the hero of the leaf was the one thing the world couldn't survive? The screaming stopped first. Then came the silence, thick and suffocating like smoke after a fire. 5-year-old Naruto Uzumaki stared at his hands, small and trembling, covered in something that looked like ash but felt wrong, felt heavy with a weight no child should carry. Where the man had been, there was nothing. Not a body, not blood, just gray powder settling on the alley stones like snow in reverse, rising from the ground instead of falling from the sky. Monster, the man had called him. Demon brat. The words weren't new. Naruto heard them every day, whispered behind hands, spat at his feet, carved into his door. But this man had grabbed him, shaken him, pressed him against the wall with hands that smelled like sake and hatred. And Naruto had reached up, all 5 fingers splayed across the man's face in desperate defense, and then nothing. The man crumbled like paper in flame, disintegrating from the point of contact outward. Skin, muscle, bone, all of it turning to dust in seconds. The man didn't even have time to scream a second time. He just ended. Naruto's breath came in short gasps. His heart hammered so hard it hurt. He looked at his hands again, turning them over, expecting to see something different, something monstrous. But they looked the same. Small, dirty, human. He ran. His apartment door slammed behind him with a bang that echoed through the empty building. Empty because no one would live near the demon child. Empty because even the poorest families would rather sleep in the streets than share walls with whatever curse had taken human form in Naruto Uzumaki. Now Naruto understood why. He scrubbed his hands in the sink, water running cold then hot then cold again. The ash washed away easily, swirling down the drain like it had never been part of a person. Like it had never been someone's father or brother or son. The thought made Naruto's stomach twist. What did I do? He whispered to his reflection. Blue eyes stared back, wide with shock and something darker. Fear, not of the village or the hatred or the beatings. Fear of himself. A knock at the door made him jump. Naruto. The voice was old, tired, but not unkind. It's the Hokage. May I come in? Naruto's hands were still wet when he opened the door. Hiruzen Sarutobi stood in the hallway, his white and red robes making him look like a painting that had stepped out of its frame. Behind him stood 2 Anbu operatives, their animal masks expressionless and still. Hokage-sama. Naruto's voice came out small. He hated how small it sounded. Hiruzen's eyes, ancient and knowing, swept over Naruto's trembling form. May we speak inside? Naruto stepped aside. The Hokage entered alone, the Anbu taking positions outside the door. The old man's gaze lingered on the wet sink, the towel crumpled on the floor, the way Naruto kept his hands behind his back like he could hide them from sight and from truth. Tell me what happened, Hiruzen said, lowering himself onto the worn couch with a soft groan. The words tumbled out in a rush. The alley, the man, the grabbing, the fear, the touch, the nothing. Hiruzen listened without interruption, his face carved from stone. When Naruto finished, silence filled the apartment like water filling a drowning man's lungs. Show me your hands, the Hokage said finally. Naruto held them out, palms up, fingers spread. They shook despite his effort to still them. The old man reached into his robes and produced a pair of thin black gloves, the kind Anbu wore under their armor. Put these on. What's wrong with me? The question burst out before Naruto could stop it. Why did I? How did I? I don't know, Hiruzen admitted, and somehow the honesty hurt more than a lie would have. But we will figure this out together. Until then, you must wear these gloves at all times. Do you understand? At all times, Naruto. When you sleep, when you bathe, when you train. Always. Naruto pulled the gloves on. They were too big, the fingers extending past his own, but he could tuck them into his sleeves. Hide them. Hide what he was. Am I going to prison? No. The word was firm, absolute. You are not a criminal, Naruto. You defended yourself. But, Hiruzen's expression grew heavier. We cannot let the village know what happened. The man who attacked you will be listed as missing. His family will be told he left the village. And you will tell no one about your ability. No one. Can you do that? Naruto nodded, but something inside him cracked. Another secret. Another reason to be alone. Another wall between him and everyone else. Good. Hiruzen stood, his joints popping softly. I will have someone check on you regularly. And Naruto? He paused at the door. You are not a monster. Whatever this power is, it is not who you are. Do not let it define you. But as the door closed and Naruto was left alone again, he couldn't help but think that the Hokage was wrong. How could something like this not define him? How could he be anything other than what his hands made him? A destroyer, a curse, a boy who brought ruin to everything he touched. The academy was worse than Naruto expected, and he'd expected it to be terrible. 7 years had passed since that day in the alley. 7 years of gloves that never came off, of keeping distance, of flinching away from every accidental touch. 7 years of ambush shadows following him, watching him, waiting for him to slip. He never did. The control came slowly, painfully, through trial and error that left his apartment filled with crumbled furniture and decayed training dummies. He learned that intention mattered. That he could touch with less than 5 fingers safely. That the gloves helped, creating a barrier between his skin and the world. But the academy students didn't know about the gloves or the control or the 7 years of careful practice. They just knew that Naruto Uzumaki was dangerous in a way that went beyond pranks and paint bombs. Stay away from him, he heard a mother tell her daughter on the first day. If he touches you, you'll get sick. The rumor had started somewhere, spreading like wildfire through the civilian population. That Naruto carried a disease. That skin contact with him meant death or disfigurement or something worse. No one seemed to know exactly what, but everyone knew enough to keep their distance. Naruto told himself he preferred it this way. Safer for everyone, no risk of accidents, no chance of hurting someone he actually cared about. Except he didn't care about anyone, and no one cared about him, so what did it matter? Uzumaki Naruto. Iruka Amino, the Chunin instructor, called his name from the front of the classroom. Young, scared looking, trying too hard to be stern. Pay attention. Naruto had been paying attention. He always paid attention. What else was there to do when no one would sit within 3 desks of you? When lunch meant eating alone on the roof. When group projects meant working solo while everyone else partnered up. He watched them all instead. Studied them like the academy taught him to study opponents. Sasuke Uchiha sat in the back, dark-haired and darker-eyed, wrapped in the tragedy of his clan's massacre like a cloak. The girls flocked to him despite his coldness, drawn to the mysterious pain he wore so openly. Naruto didn't understand it. Pain wasn't something to advertise. It was something to bury deep where no one could use it against you. Sakura Haruno, pink-haired and loud, led the Sasuke fan club with the dedication of a religious zealot. She'd screamed the first time Naruto had been assigned to sit near her, actually screamed like he'd pulled a kunai instead of just existing in her general vicinity. Iruka had moved him after that. Shikamaru Nara, lazy-eyed and brilliant, was the only one who didn't treat Naruto like a walking plague. Not out of kindness, Naruto suspected, but because caring enough to be afraid required effort Shikamaru couldn't be bothered to expend. They'd been paired for a strategy exercise once, and Shikamaru had simply shrugged and worked with him like it was no big deal. Naruto had almost thanked him before realizing how pathetic that would sound. Choji Akamichi, Shikamaru's constant companion, followed his friend's lead. If Shikamaru wasn't afraid, Choji wouldn't be either. Simple pack logic. Kiba Inuzuka and his dog Akamaru kept their distance, which Naruto appreciated. Something about the Inuzuka clan's heightened senses made them more wary than most. Maybe they could smell the wrongness on him, the decay that lingered beneath his skin like rot under fresh paint. Shino Aburame, hidden behind his high collar and dark glasses, was an enigma. He never spoke to Naruto, but he never spoke to anyone much. Naruto suspected the bugs that lived inside Shino's body knew something about him, some insect wisdom that made them keep their host away. And then there was Hinata Hyuga. She sat near the front, almost invisible despite being from one of the village's most prominent clans. Pale eyes, dark hair, a presence so quiet it was like she was trying to disappear. She never spoke in class, never raised her hand, never drew attention to herself. But sometimes, Naruto caught her looking at him. Not with fear or disgust or morbid curiosity. Just, looking, like she was trying to figure something out. Like he was a puzzle she couldn't quite solve. It made him uncomfortable in a way the hatred never did. He knew how to handle hatred. Silence and distance and the promise that someday he'd make them all acknowledge him. But curiosity? Interest? That was dangerous. That was the first step toward someone getting close enough to get hurt. So Naruto ignored her, and after a while, she stopped looking. The days blurred together. Classes on history and tactics and chakra control. Training exercises in the yard where Naruto excelled at taijutsu because it was the only thing he could do safely. Reading and weapons practice and endless lectures about the will of fire and protecting one's comrades. Comrades. The word tasted like ash in Naruto's mouth. His instructors handled him carefully, like an explosive tag that might detonate at any moment. Iruka especially seemed caught between duty and fear, between wanting to help and knowing better than to try. The man had lost his parents to the Nine Tails attack 12 years ago. Everyone knew that. Most people didn't know that Naruto was somehow connected to that attack, but Iruka had to know. Anbu talked, and rumors spread, and there were only so many reasons why an orphan would be so protected and so isolated all at once. Still, Iruka tried. Small gestures, a nod of encouragement after a good kata, an extra moment spent explaining a concept Naruto had missed. Never touching, always careful, but trying nonetheless. Naruto didn't know what to do with that kindness, so he accepted it in silence and moved on. The graduation exam came in spring, 3 years into his academy tenure. Naruto was 12, tall for his age and lean from years of solo training. He'd grown his hair out enough to hide behind, blonde spikes falling over his eyes when he let them. The gloves were permanent now, black and worn, replaced every few months when the decay leaked through despite his control. He could feel it sometimes, the power waiting beneath his skin like a second heartbeat. Patient, hungry, ready to reduce the world to dust if he just let it. He never did. Control was everything. Control meant safety. Control meant he could pretend to be normal even when everyone knew he wasn't. The written exam was easy. Naruto had spent years reading everything he could find about shinobi history, tactics, and jutsu theory. Books didn't fear him. Books didn't scream or run or look at him like he was death incarnate. Books were safe. The weapons portion went smoothly. Kunai, shuriken, wirework. All of it required precision and distance, both things Naruto had in abundance. He scored perfectly, and Iruka's eyes widened with something that might have been pride. Then came the ninjutsu exam. Clone jutsu, Iruka announced, clipboard in hand. Create 3 identical clones. Naruto had been dreading this moment for months. The clone jutsu required channeling chakra outside the body, forming it into a solid shape that could fool casual observation. Simple, basic, something every academy student could do. Except when Naruto tried it, his chakra went wrong. He could feel the energy gathering, could sense it pooling in the right places, could almost see the clones beginning to form. But then his power kicked in, that cursed decay ability recognizing chakra as something to destroy, and the clones collapsed before they fully materialized. Not exploding or dissipating like a failed jutsu. Crumbling, turning to ash and air and nothing. He tried again. Same result. Again. Failure. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Around him, the other students had all passed, standing in proud clusters with their parents. Sasuke, perfect as always, had created 5 clones just to show off. Sakura had managed her 3 and immediately turned to see if Sasuke had noticed. Even Kiba had passed, though his clones looked half-melted. Naruto, Iruka said quietly. One more try. One more humiliation, Naruto thought. One more reminder that even when he tried to be normal, his curse wouldn't let him. He formed the seals, channeled the chakra, felt it respond, then felt it decay. 3 pathetic, ash-colored clones flickered into existence for half a second before crumbling to dust. I'm sorry, Iruka said, and he actually sounded sorry. You'll have to take the exam again next. The door burst open. Mizuki, another Chunin instructor, stepped in with his too wide smile and 2 bright eyes. Iruka, a moment? They spoke in low voices by the door. Naruto couldn't hear the words, but he could see Iruka's frown deepening, see Mizuki's smile growing sharper. Naruto, Iruka called. You're dismissed for today. We'll discuss makeup options tomorrow. The walk home felt longer than usual. The sun was setting, painting the village in shades of orange and red that reminded Naruto of fire. Of destruction. Of everything his hands could do if he lost control. He was halfway to his apartment when Mizuki appeared beside him on the rooftop. Rough day, huh? The Chunin's voice was friendly, sympathetic. All the things Naruto had learned to distrust. I heard about the exam. I'll pass next time. Naruto kept walking. Or, Mizuki kept pace easily. You could pass tonight. That made Naruto stop. What? There's another way to graduate. A special test for students with unique circumstances. Mizuki's smile was the same one he wore in class, but something about it felt wrong in the fading light. Interested? Every instinct Naruto had developed over 12 years of survival screamed danger. But underneath that was something stronger, more desperate. The hunger to prove himself. To show everyone that he wasn't just the cursed kid who couldn't do a basic clone jutsu. To be a shinobi despite everything. What kind of test? He asked carefully. Meet me at the old training ground near the academy at midnight. Come alone. And Naruto? Mizuki's expression grew serious. Don't tell anyone. This opportunity is exclusive. Wouldn't want others getting jealous. Then he was gone, vanishing in a swirl of leaves that was too theatrical to be anything but practiced. Naruto stood alone on the rooftop and weighed his options. This was obviously a trap. No competent shinobi would fall for something this blatant. But Naruto was 12 and desperate and so tired of being the failure, the curse, the boy everyone avoided. So when midnight came, he went. The training ground was dark, illuminated only by moonlight filtering through the trees. Mizuki waited by the old obstacle course, his smile even wider than before. "You came," he said, sounding pleased. "Good. I was worried you'd be smart enough to stay away." The words confirmed what Naruto had already suspected. This was a trap, but knowing it was a trap and being able to do anything about it were two different things. "I'll make this simple," Mizuki continued, his voice dropping the friendly facade. "You're going to steal something for me from the Hokage's mansion. A scroll. The scroll of seals." "Why would I do that?" Naruto's hands clenched into fists inside his gloves. "Because if you don't, I'll tell everyone what you are." Mizuki's smile turned cruel. "Do you think they only hate you for being difficult? For being the class clown? Oh, Naruto. They don't even know the best part." Eyes formed in Naruto's stomach. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. The Nine Tails. The demon fox that attacked the village 12 years ago. The monster that killed so many people, destroyed so much." Mizuki laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "It's inside you, Naruto. You're the Jinchuriki, the container for the beast that nearly destroyed Konoha. And when people find out, when they learn that the cursed kid with the dangerous touch is also the demon brat they've been hating all along, well, I wonder how long you'd last." A lot of people already knew that, but Mizuki realized that Naruto had absolutely no information. It would be perfect. Yes, it would be perfect, because he believed that Naruto was smart enough to see that he was being tricked. So he would simply manipulate him to do what he wanted, tricking him into believing that he held a secret that could make his life even worse. The world tilted. Naruto had suspected something connected him to the Nine Tails attack, but hearing it confirmed, hearing it said out loud like that, made it real in a way suspicion never could. "You're lying," he said, but even he could hear how weak it sounded. "Am I? Ask yourself why you're so isolated. Why Anbu watch you constantly? Why the third Hokage protects you despite how much the village hates you?" Mizuki pulled a kunai from his pouch, spinning it casually. "Face it, kid, you're a monster twice over. The demon and the curse. But hey, at least you can be useful. Steal the scroll, bring it to me, and I'll keep your secret. Refuse, and by morning, everyone will know exactly what you are." Naruto's mind raced. He could fight. He'd trained for years in taijutsu specifically so he'd have a way to defend himself. But Mizuki was a Chunin, experienced and skilled, and Naruto was just a failed academy student who couldn't even make a clone. Or he could use it. The Decay. End this in seconds. Just one touch and Mizuki would disappear like that man in the alley all those years ago. No witnesses. No evidence. Just ash and silence. The power stirred beneath his skin, eager, ready. No. Naruto forced it down. He wasn't that person. He wouldn't become the monster everyone thought he was just because it was convenient. "I'll get your scroll," he said quietly. "But after this, you leave me alone." Mizuki's grin widened. "Deal." Breaking into the Hokage's mansion was easier than it should have been. Either Naruto was better at stealth than he'd thought, or the Anbu were deliberately looking the other way. He didn't want to think about what it meant if they were letting him steal from the Hokage. The scroll of seals was massive, nearly as long as Naruto was tall, sealed with markers he didn't recognize. He grabbed it and ran, his heart pounding so loud he was sure every shinobi in the village could hear it. He made it to the designated meeting spot, another clearing in the forest, and waited. And waited. Dawn was breaking when Iruka found him instead of Mizuki. "Naruto." The Chunin dropped from the trees, his face a mixture of relief and anger. "What are you doing? Do you have any idea what you've stolen?" Mizuki said it was a test. Naruto started, then stopped. "Where is he?" "Mizuki is a traitor." Iruka's voice was harsh. It all made sense. Naruto was the scapegoat. The pieces clicked into place. Naruto had been the patsy. The convenient scapegoat. Steal the scroll, take the blame, let Mizuki escape with forbidden jutsu while the village executed another monster. "I didn't know," Naruto said, hating how defensive he sounded. "I know." Iruka's expression softened slightly. "Give me the scroll, and we'll sort this out. You're not in trouble." "Well, you're in some trouble, but not execution-level trouble." Actually, a voice called from the trees, "He's in exactly that much trouble." Mizuki emerged from the shadows, but he wasn't alone. 3 other missing nin flanked him, their forehead protectors scratched through to mark their betrayal. Thanks for the scroll, kid, Mizuki said cheerfully. Really saved me a lot of effort. Stupid Hokage never would have given it to me directly, but a desperate academy failure? Easy target. Naruto, run. Iruka pushed himself in front of Naruto, kunai already in hand. Get the scroll to the village. Now. 4 against 1, Naruto said. I'm not leaving you. You're not a shinobi yet. You can't. I can't do a clone jutsu, Naruto interrupted. But I can do other things. He set the scroll down carefully, making sure it was protected by a tree root. Then he pulled off his gloves, one finger at a time, and felt the decay power surge in response to his intent. Oh, this'll be good, Mizuki laughed. The demon brat thinks he can fight. Naruto, no. Iruka's voice held genuine panic. Don't. But Naruto was already moving. The first missing nin came at him with a sword. Naruto ducked under the swing and pressed his palm flat against the man's chest. All 5 fingers. Full contact. Complete intention. The missing nin's scream lasted 3 seconds. His body lasted 2. He crumbled from the inside out, skin flaking away to reveal muscle that turned to ash that revealed bone that dissolved into nothing. The sword clattered to the ground, intact but no longer held by anyone who could wield it. Silence fell like a hammer. What? Mizuki's smile was gone. What did you just? The other 2 missing nin backed away, their bravado evaporating faster than their companion had. Naruto picked up the fallen sword and tossed it aside, the metal decaying where his fingers had touched it, leaving rust-red stains across the blade. The 3rd Hokage taught me control, Naruto said quietly. Taught me how to keep this power buried. How to use it only when I had no choice. He looked at his bare hands, at the normal skin that hid such terrible potential. Attacking Iruka-sensei was the wrong choice. Naruto, Iruka whispered, his face pale. What are you? A shinobi of the leaf, Naruto said. Eventually, the 2nd missing nin bolted. Naruto was faster. He caught the man by the ankle, 5-finger grip, and the decay spread upward like fire-consuming paper. The screaming was worse the 2nd time because Naruto let it take longer, let the man feel what it meant to be unmade piece by piece. He told himself it was tactical. A message, a deterrent. He knew it was crueler than that. Knew there was something dark and angry inside him that enjoyed watching the people who'd threatened Iruka suffer. That enjoyed having power after years of being powerless. The 3rd missing nin surrendered, dropping his weapons and raising his hands. Naruto let him run, one witness to spread the word. One person to tell the story of the cursed kid who could kill with a touch. Which left Mizuki. The Chunin's smile had transformed into something desperate, feral. You think you've won? You think killing a few disposable idiots makes you strong? You're still the demon brat. Still the curse. Still the monster everyone's right to hate. Maybe, Naruto agreed. He walked forward slowly, deliberately, giving Mizuki time to see death approaching. But I'm the monster who keeps his promises. You wanted the scroll. Go ahead. Take it. Mizuki glanced at the scroll, then back at Naruto. You'll let me go? Sure. If you can reach it before I reach you. Mizuki ran, not toward the scroll. Away. Into the forest. Moving with Chunin speed and chakra-enhanced leaps that should have left Naruto far behind. Should have. But Naruto had spent years training alone, pushing himself harder than any academy student needed to, preparing for a fight he'd hoped would never come. He caught up in seconds. Please, Mizuki gasped, his back against a tree. Please, I didn't mean. You threatened to expose me, Naruto said calmly. You tried to turn me into a thief and a traitor. You endangered Iruka-sensei. He reached out, 5 fingers spread. You made this personal. Naruto, stop. Iruka's voice cut through the red haze that had settled over Naruto's vision. The Chunin stumbled into the clearing, blood running from a cut on his temple, the massive scroll strapped to his back. Don't do this, Iruka said. Not like this. Not in anger. He deserves it, Naruto said flatly. Maybe. Probably. But you don't deserve to carry another death on your conscience. Iruka moved closer, carefully placing himself between Naruto and Mizuki. You're better than this. Better than him. Don't prove everyone right about you being a monster. The words hit harder than any jutsu could have. Naruto's hand trembled, still extended, still ready to reduce Mizuki to component atoms. I am a monster, he whispered. No. Iruka's voice was firm. You're a scared kid with a terrible burden. That's not the same thing. You saw what I did. Naruto's control wavered, tears threatening. He forced them back. Monsters didn't cry. You know what I am now. I know you protected me, Iruka said gently. I know you could have let me die and run away with the scroll, but you stayed and fought. That's not a monster, Naruto. That's a shinobi. The words broke something inside Naruto that had been holding together through sheer stubbornness for 12 years. He lowered his hand, pulled his gloves back on, and let Iruka handle the rest. Mizuki was arrested. The missing nin who survived spread stories about the demon brat who killed with a touch, and for a while, the fear in the village intensified. But Iruka spoke to the third Hokage, and the third Hokage spoke to the village, and eventually, things settled into a new normal. A normal where everyone knew Naruto Uzumaki was dangerous. A normal where he'd killed 2 men before even graduating the academy. A normal where the gloves stayed on, always. Iruka called Naruto to the academy 3 days after the incident. The classroom was empty, just the 2 of them and the afternoon sun streaming through windows that needed cleaning. I spoke with the Hokage, Iruka said. He was sitting on his desk, informal and tired looking. About your graduation. I failed the exam, Naruto said. I know. You failed the clone jutsu, Iruka corrected. But given your unique circumstances, the third Hokage has decided to grant you special consideration. He pulled out a forehead protector, the metal gleaming, the leaf symbol etched deep. Naruto Uzumaki. For exceptional skill in taijutsu, tactical thinking, and protecting a comrade despite overwhelming odds, you are hereby granted the rank of Genin of Konoha. Naruto stared at the forehead protector like it might disappear if he looked away. I didn't pass. You saved my life, Iruka said quietly. You faced down 4 enemy shinobi and won. You showed more courage and skill than most genin show in their entire first year. He held out the forehead protector. You've earned this. Take it. Naruto reached out slowly, his gloved hands closing around the metal. It was heavier than he'd expected. More solid. Real in a way most things in his life weren't. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me yet. Iruka smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Being a shinobi is hard. Being a shinobi with your power and your other burden is going to be harder. But I think you can do it. I think you can become someone amazing, Naruto. Someone the village will have to acknowledge. That's all I've ever wanted, Naruto admitted. I know. Iruka stood, clapping Naruto on the shoulder through his jacket, careful not to touch skin. Now get out of here. Team assignments are tomorrow. Get some rest. Naruto walked home through streets that parted around him like water around stone. The forehead protector hung heavy on his belt, and his hands were covered by gloves that would never come off, and somewhere inside him lived a demon that had destroyed the village he was now sworn to protect. But for the first time in 12 years, Naruto felt something that wasn't quite hope but was close enough to count. He was a shinobi of the hidden leaf. And someday, somehow, he'd make everyone see that he was more than the curse they feared. Even if he had to decay the whole world to prove it. Team assignments came with the morning light. Naruto arrived at the academy early, his new forehead protector tied securely around his head, the metal cool against his skin. The other graduates filtered in slowly, clustering in their usual groups, maintaining their usual distance from him. Some stared openly now, fear mixed with morbid curiosity. The rumors had spread fast. The demon brat kills with a touch. Saw it myself, reduced a man to ash in seconds. Stay away or you'll be next. Naruto ignored them. He'd had 12 years of practice. Iruka entered with his clipboard and false cheerfulness, the kind adults used when pretending everything was normal. Congratulations to all our new genin. Today you'll be assigned to 3-person cells under a Jonin instructor. The assignments rolled out in predictable patterns. Ino Shika Cho formation for the clan heirs. Kiba, Hinata, and Shino for tracking. Various combinations that made tactical sense. Then Iruka paused, his expression tightening almost imperceptibly. Team 7, Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura. The classroom went silent. Sakura's face drained of color. Sensei, there must be a mistake. No mistake, Iruka said firmly. Your Jonin instructor is Hitaki Kakashi. He'll meet you on the roof in 10 minutes. Sasuke said nothing, his dark eyes assessing Naruto with new calculation. The last Uchiha wasn't afraid, Naruto realized. Just recalibrating threat levels, adjusting strategies. Sasuke saw him as an opponent now, not just an annoyance. Naruto could work with that. Respect born from fear was still respect. Sakura looked like she might be sick. Kakashi Hitaki arrived 2 hours late, slouching onto the roof with an orange book in hand and his silver hair defying gravity. One eye was covered by his forehead protector, the other half lidded with apparent boredom. My first impression? He said lazily. You're all interesting. Naruto noticed the subtle tension in Kakashi's posture, the way he positioned himself with multiple escape routes, the way his visible eye tracked Naruto's hands despite the gloves. The Jonin was scared, trying to hide it, but scared nonetheless. Meet me at training ground 3 in an hour. And don't eat breakfast. You'll throw it up. Kakashi vanished in a swirl of leaves. Great, Sakura muttered. I'm on a team with the Curse and the Avenger. Could this get any worse? Yes, Naruto said flatly. I could actually care about your opinion. Her eyes widened in shock. Sasuke's lips twitched in what might have been amusement. Training Ground 3 was a clearing surrounded by 3 wooden posts, clearly meant for some kind of exercise. Kakashi sat reading his book, not looking up as they arrived. Good, you're all here. Now, we're going to have a survival test. He pulled out 2 bells from his pouch. Your goal is to take these bells from me before noon. Anyone who doesn't get a bell goes back to the academy. But there are only 2 bells, Sakura said. Exactly. At least one of you will fail. Probably all of you, actually. Kakashi's visible eye curved in a smile. Come at me with intent to kill, or you'll never get them. Naruto analyzed the setup instantly. The test wasn't about the bells. It was about teamwork, about seeing past the obvious trap. But his teammates were Sasuke, who trusted no one, and Sakura, who was terrified of him. Teamwork wasn't happening. Begin, Kakashi said. Sasuke and Sakura scattered, hiding in the trees like proper shinobi. Naruto stayed in the clearing, hands loose at his sides, watching Kakashi watch him. Not going to hide? The Jonin asked, still reading his book. Why? You already know where I am. Naruto pulled off his gloves slowly, deliberately. And I only need one touch. The book snapped shut. Kakashi's posture shifted from lazy to combat ready in an instant. I've read your file. I know what you can do. But I'm a Jonin, kid. You really think you can touch me? No, Naruto admitted. But I can make you so focused on not being touched that you won't notice everything else. He charged. Not recklessly, but with purpose, forcing Kakashi to engage. The Jonin was faster, more experienced, deflecting Naruto's strikes with minimal effort. But he was being careful, too careful, making sure no part of Naruto's skin made contact. Which meant he didn't see Sasuke's attack coming until the last second. Kakashi caught the kunai anyway, but it forced him to shift position. Sakura threw shuriken from another angle, her aim true even if her hands were shaking. The Jonin dodged easily, but now he was tracking 3 opponents instead of 1. Better, Kakashi said, but still not good enough. He made hand seals too fast to follow. Earth style. Headhunter jutsu. The ground swallowed Sakura up to her neck. She screamed, and Sasuke moved to help her, and Naruto saw the test falling apart in real time. Stop, he called out. Both of you, stop. They didn't listen. Sasuke threw himself at Kakashi with pure Uchiha pride, and the Jonin threw him into a tree with casual strength. Sakura was crying now, stuck and useless, exactly where Kakashi had wanted her. Naruto looked at the bells on Kakashi's belt, then at his terrified teammate, then at Sasuke picking himself up with murder in his eyes. The test was about teamwork. But his team couldn't work together because of him. Because one member hated him and the other saw him only as competition. The bells were a distraction, but so was the idea of perfect cooperation. Sometimes you had to work with what you had. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said, sitting down cross-legged in the middle of the field. I give up. Everyone froze. Naruto, what are you doing? Sasuke hissed. You wanted to see if we'd work together, Naruto continued, ignoring him. But we can't. Not like this. Sakura is scared of me. Sasuke thinks he can do everything alone, and I'm... He gestured at his bare hands. I'm this. So fine. Fail me. Send me back to the academy. But let them pass. They earned it. Kakashi studied him for a long moment. Then he smiled, a real smile visible even through the mask. You pass. What? All of you pass. The Jonin helped Sakura out of the ground, then tossed the bells away entirely. The point wasn't to get the bells. It was to see past the obvious solution and make a choice. Naruto chose his team over personal success. That's the answer I was looking for. That's stupid, Sasuke said. That's being a shinobi, Kakashi corrected. A shinobi who abandons their comrades is worse than trash. Remember that. His eye lingered on Naruto. All of you. Sakura still looked terrified. Sasuke still looked skeptical. But they were a team now, officially, whether any of them liked it or not. Naruto pulled his gloves back on and wondered how long they'd all survive each other. The first few weeks of missions were brutal in their mundanity. D-rank assignments meant catching cats, pulling weeds, painting fences. Work that required no combat skills and constant proximity to civilians who flinched away from Naruto like he was contagious. Kakashi watched everything with his lazy eye and sharp mind, taking notes Naruto never saw but knew existed. Evaluating, judging, deciding if the cursed genin could be trusted with real missions. Team dynamics improved microscopically. Sakura stopped screaming when Naruto got close, which Naruto counted as progress. Sasuke acknowledged his existence with occasional grunts, which was practically a declaration of friendship by Uchiha standards. They learned each other's patterns. Sasuke's obsession with getting stronger, with surpassing some invisible standard only he could see. Sakura's desperate need for Sasuke's approval, her competent skills buried under insecurity. Naruto's careful distance, his refusal to touch anyone or anything without gloves, his tactical mind that surprised them both. Kakashi pushed them harder each week, his training methods brutal but effective. He seemed especially focused on Naruto, teaching him to channel chakra more precisely, to control the decay ability that wanted to leak out with every technique. Your power interferes with standard jutsu, Kakashi explained during one training session. The clone jutsu fails because your chakra decays the construct as you create it. But there might be alternatives. He taught Naruto the shadow clone jutsu from the Scroll of Seals, the forbidden technique that created real, physical copies instead of illusions. It required massive chakra reserves, which Naruto had thanks to his tenant. The clones actually worked, lasting minutes instead of seconds. How? Naruto asked, staring at his 3 copies. Shadow clones are more substantial. They can handle your chakra's destructive properties better than normal clones. Kakashi's eyes smiled. Plus, anything they learn, you learn when they dispel. Useful for training. It was the first jutsu Naruto had successfully performed. He dismissed the clones and immediately made 20 more, just because he could. Sasuke watched with barely concealed envy. Sakura looked impressed despite herself. Kakashi just nodded like he'd expected nothing less. The wave mission changed everything. AC rank escort mission, Kakashi announced. We're taking a bridge builder named Tsunade to the land of waves. Tsunade was drunk, rude, and immediately terrified of Naruto. That's the demon brat? I'm not traveling with that thing. Then walk, Naruto said flatly. We're being paid to protect you, not be your friends. Something in his tone made Tsunade reconsider. They left at dawn. The journey was tense. Tsunade kept his distance, drinking from a bottle that never seemed to empty. Sasuke scouted ahead, too proud to walk with the group. Sakura stayed close to Kakashi, using the Jonin as a buffer between her and Naruto. The first attack came from the Demon Brothers, Chunin level missing nin with poison chains. They targeted Kakashi, shredding him to pieces before anyone could react. Except it wasn't Kakashi. The body dissolved into water, a replacement jutsu executed so smoothly no one had seen it. Good reflexes, the real Kakashi said from a tree branch. Now, who wants to explain why Chunin are attacking a C-rank mission? Tsunade confessed everything. The mission was actually a rank. A shipping magnate named Gato had taken over Wave Country, and Tsunade's bridge was the only way to break his monopoly. Gato had hired Shinobi to kill the bridge builder. We should go back, Sakura said. This is beyond our level. No, Naruto said. Everyone looked at him. We finished the mission. Tsunade needs this bridge. His country needs it. We don't abandon people just because it gets hard. Kakashi studied him. It could get very dangerous. Then it gets dangerous. Naruto met his sensei's gaze steadily. Isn't that what being a shinobi means? They continued to wave. The country was dying. Poverty everywhere. People with hollow eyes and empty stomachs. Children who looked like Naruto had felt for most of his life. Forgotten, abandoned, afraid. Tsunade's daughter Tsunami welcomed them with what little she had. Her son Inari was angry at the world, seeing heroes as lies and hope as weakness. Naruto understood him too well and said nothing. The second attack came at the bridge, wreathed in mist and murder. Zabuza Momochi, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, with a blade as tall as a man and a reputation painted in blood. His partner Haku wore a mask and moved like death itself. Well, Kakashi said, raising his forehead protector to reveal his Sharingan eye. This just became interesting. The fight was chaos. Kakashi matched Zabuza blow for blow, their weapons creating sparks in the mist. Haku trapped Sasuke and Naruto in a dome of ice mirrors, attacking from every angle with senbon needles that should have killed them both. Should have, but Naruto had spent years dodging attacks, staying untouched, keeping his hands to himself. The needles missed by millimeters. And when Haku lunged for a finishing blow, Naruto caught his wrist. All 5 fingers, through the mask, directly on skin. I'm sorry, Naruto said, and he meant it. Haku's ice mirrors began to crumble, the jutsu failing as its creator started to decay from the point of contact outward. The masked ninja stumbled back, staring at his arm as it turned gray, then black, then ash. What are you? Someone who doesn't want to do this, Naruto admitted. But you tried to kill my teammate. Then finish it, Haku said calmly. A tool that cannot complete its purpose has no value. Naruto's hand hovered over Haku's chest. One touch. That's all it would take. One touch and this beautiful, tragic person would become dust and memory. You're not a tool, Naruto said. You're a person. You don't have to die for him. Yes, Haku whispered. I do. My life no longer serve any purpose because I failed to do the one thing that I was meant to do. I deserve nothing but death. His words. How could someone like this work for someone like that? He lunged forward, one final desperate attempt to make his life have meaning, because this boy had the power to destroy whatever he touched. He tried to dodge it, but Naruto's hand moved faster on pure instinct. In the end, the look in his eyes, acceptance, failure, pain, anguish. Impaling himself on Naruto's hand, the decay spread instantly, mercifully fast. Haku smiled behind his crumbling mask. Thank you, he said, for giving me a choice at the end. Then he was gone. Naruto stood alone in the collapsing ice dome, ash coating his gloves, and felt something break inside his chest. He'd killed before. The missing nin, the man in the alley. But this was different. This was someone who'd chosen death, who'd been so broken by the world that ending was preferable to living. Someone like Naruto could have become. Outside the dome, Zabuza and Kakashi had reached a stalemate. The Jonin was exhausted, the missing nin was wounded, and both knew the next exchange would be the last. Then Naruto emerged from the melting ice, covered in ash, and Zabuza saw what had happened to his partner. You killed Haku. Not a question, a statement, a pronouncement. He killed himself, Naruto said quietly. Using me. Zabuza's expression was unreadable. He failed. He was my tool. That doesn't matter anymore. It's all up to me now. I don't believe you, Naruto said. I refuse to believe that. You don't care about him, given how much he cared about you. I refuse to believe that you didn't feel the same for him, Naruto said. And if it means sending you where he is now, then I'll send you there for you to apologize. Zabuza smirked, but deep down, something inside of him yearned in pain knowing that Haku was gone. He attacked Naruto. Kakashi moved in, but Naruto jumped forward, forcing Kakashi back as Naruto was not wearing his gloves. Zabuza swung with a terrible amount of force. He was a monster. The fight should have been impossible. Zabuza was legendary, wounded but still deadly. Naruto was a genin with one trick and a broken heart. But rage made Naruto faster, and guilt made him reckless, and when Zabuza's sword came down, Naruto didn't dodge. He caught the blade with both hands, let the decay spread up the metal, watched 7 feet of legendary steel crumble to rust and fragments. Zabuza stared at his destroyed weapon with something like respect. You're strong, kid, stronger than you should be. He pulled out a kunai, his backup weapon. But strength without purpose is just destruction. While Zabuza was powerful, he took cautious steps to fight Naruto. Seeing his blade turn into dust, Kakashi used the opening. Severe wounds lined his arms, chest, and stomach. The demon of the mist dropped to one knee, weakened beyond anything. The loss of Haku seemed to also tamper his spirit to fight, something that he wasn't truly accepting. Kakashi knocked him into the railing. His wounds were severe, he could barely get back up. However, their fight was interrupted. He didn't finish. Gato arrived with an army of thugs, here to clean up the survivors and save money on hiring fees. The coward had waited until both sides were exhausted. Kill them all, Gato ordered. Zabuza moved to fight despite his wounds. Kakashi tried to stand and nearly collapsed. Sasuke and Sakura prepared to die fighting. Naruto walked forward, pulled off his gloves, and let the decay power flood out unchecked. He didn't use jutsu or technique or careful precision. He just touched. The ground where he stepped crumbled. The weapons that came near disintegrated. The thugs who charged him dissolved screaming, their bodies unable to withstand the concentrated destruction emanating from Naruto's skin. It took 30 seconds. 30 seconds of systematic annihilation, of turning human beings into component particles, of being exactly the monster everyone feared. When it ended, the bridge was covered in ash and silence. Gato had fled. His army was gone. And Naruto stood in the center of it all, his hands bare and gray with residue. Naruto, Kakashi said carefully. Put your gloves back on. He did, slowly, his hands shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. Sasuke was staring at him with new respect and new fear. Sakura had thrown up behind a support beam. Zabuza was dying, his wounds too severe, but he managed a nod. "Hey kid," Zabuza said, "what are your goals?" He was curious. For someone that had power like that, he desired to know what this young man desired. I want to become the Hokage of my village, the leader," said Naruto, "for them to acknowledge me, to truly accept me, to truly see who I am beyond this power." "You'll make a good Hokage, kid," he said, "if you don't become the thing they fear first." "How do I avoid that?" Naruto asked. "You don't." Zabuza's eyes closed. "You just keep choosing which monster to be." He died smiling, and Naruto arranged his body next to Haku's Decay. They deserved that much. They deserved to be remembered as people, not as ash. The bridge was completed. Tsunade named it the Great Naruto Bridge, claiming it was built by the determination of one stubborn genin. Naruto didn't feel like he deserved it but accepted the honor anyway. Inari hugged him when they left, the boy's earlier cynicism replaced by hope. Naruto hugged back carefully, mindful of his gloves, mindful of the destruction he carried. "I'll protect what you've built here," Naruto promised. That's what shinobi do. On the journey home, Team 7 walked in silence. They'd seen real combat, real death, real consequences. They weren't the same kids who'd left Konoha weeks ago. "Naruto," Kakashi said eventually. "What you did on that bridge." "I know," Naruto interrupted. "Too brutal. Too public. Too obvious." "I was going to say effective," Kakashi corrected. "But yes, all those other things too. People will talk. The Hokage will have questions. And you'll need to decide how you want to be seen. As a weapon? As a shinobi? As something else entirely?" Naruto thought about Haku's smile. About Zabuza's last words. About Inari's hope and Tsunami's gratitude and the bridge that bore his name. "I want to be acknowledged," he said finally. "Not as a monster or a curse or a weapon. As someone who protects what matters. Someone who makes hard choices and lives with them. Someone who deserves to be Hokage." "Then that's what you'll become," Kakashi said. "One mission at a time." Sasuke was quiet for another mile before speaking. "You're stronger than I thought." It wasn't friendship. It wasn't even really respect. But it was acknowledgement which Naruto had learned to accept as the best he'd get. Sakura still kept her distance, but she'd stopped screaming. Progress. They returned to Konoha as veterans instead of rookies, carrying death on their hands and ash in their memories. The village looked different now. Smaller, more fragile, easier to break. Naruto touched nothing on the way home, his gloves staying firmly in place. He'd proven his strength. Now he needed to prove his control. The Hokage's lecture about unauthorized kills and political complications lasted an hour. Naruto bore it in silence. What could he say? That he'd do it again? That protecting his team and completing the mission mattered more than public perception? He would, and it did. "You're dismissed," Hiruzen said finally. "But Naruto? This path you're walking, it's dangerous. Not just to others, but to yourself. Don't lose sight of who you want to become." "I won't," Naruto promised. Outside, the sun was setting, painting Konoha in shades of fire. Naruto walked through streets that parted around him, past people who whispered about the bridge and the bodies and the demon who'd finally shown his true nature. Let them talk. Let them fear. Someday they'd understand that his power, terrible as it was, existed to protect them. Someday they'd acknowledge him. And if they didn't, well, Naruto had learned patience. He had time. All the time in the world. The Chunin exams announcement came during a routine mission debrief. Kakashi dropped the information casually, like he was discussing the weather rather than a tournament that could elevate them from rookie genin to mid-level shinobi. "The exams start next week," he said, his visible eye curved in what might have been amusement. "I'm recommending all three of you." Sakura's face lit up. Sasuke's expression didn't change, but his posture straightened slightly. Naruto just nodded, his gloved hands resting calmly in his lap. "All of you need to agree," Kakashi continued. "These exams are dangerous. People die. Are you ready for that?" "Yes," they said in unison, the first time they'd agreed on anything. The Chunin exams drew genin from across the nations. Sound Village sent a team that moved too smoothly, too coordinated. Sand Village brought siblings with killing intent in their eyes. Every hidden village wanted to prove their strength, to show their new generation was superior. Naruto walked through the crowd, and the crowd parted. His reputation had spread beyond Konoha's walls. The cursed genin who killed with a touch. The demon brat with decay in his hands. Whispers followed him like shadows. "Is that him? The one from the wave mission? Heard he turned 50 men to ash in seconds. Stay away from him. Don't even get close." Shikamaru found him during registration, hands in his pockets, bored expression firmly in place. "Troublesome. They put us all in the same exam block. You're participating?" Naruto was surprised. Shikamaru hated effort. Mom insisted. Too troublesome to argue. He yawned. Try not to kill too many people. The paperwork's a drag. It was the most Shikamaru thing Naruto had ever heard. He almost smiled. The first exam was written, designed to test information gathering and stress management. Naruto noticed Hinata 3 rows over, her pale eyes downcast, her fingers trembling slightly as she held her pencil. She looked so small, so fragile, like a strong wind might blow her away. Their eyes met for a brief moment. She didn't flinch, didn't look away in fear or disgust. Just gave him a tiny nod, barely perceptible, before returning to her test. Something warm flickered in Naruto's chest. He crushed it immediately. Warmth was dangerous. Connection was dangerous. People who got close to him ended up as ash or trauma or both. The final question came with a threat. Answer wrong and never take the Chunin exams again. Refuse to answer and fail immediately but keep the right to retake later. A test of courage disguised as academics. Naruto raised his hand. I'll answer. Naruto, wait, Sakura started. I'm not afraid of failing, he said loudly, making sure everyone heard. I'm not afraid of never being Chunin. But I am afraid of running away from challenges. So I'll answer, and if I'm wrong, I'll become Hokage anyway. Because that's the kind of shinobi I am. Ibiki, the scarred proctor, actually smiled. Good answer. You all pass. The real test was whether you'd face your fear or run from it. In the corner, Hinata was watching him again. This time, she was smiling. The second exam took place in the Forest of Death, a massive training ground filled with predators both animal and human. Teams had to survive 5 days while collecting heaven and earth scrolls from each other. Don't die, Anko, the second proctor, said cheerfully. Or do. I get paid either way. Team 7 entered the forest with their earth scroll, immediately splitting up to scout. The plan was simple. Avoid conflict until absolutely necessary, then strike fast and hard. The plan lasted 20 minutes. The attack came from above and below simultaneously. 3 sound genin with coordination that spoke of years training together. It was a team from the Rain Village. There was a lot of them. Too much of them. They were using some special clone jutsu or something like that. However, Naruto scared them off. When he grabbed one of them and turned them into dust, realizing that it wasn't a real person. They were too afraid to face the unknown. Unfortunately, though, the real threat arrived when Orochimaru came there. It was rather quickly seen that he desired Sasuke, but he also had a keen eye on Naruto as well, as he heard things. Unfortunately, though, in physical strength and speed, they stood no chance as Sasuke got bit in the neck. When Orochimaru landed a devastating blow on Naruto when he tried to intervene, Naruto finally got the opportunity and grabbed him. The decay spread almost instantly, but unlike others who would turn into dust, something burst out of the decayed corpse. A fresh new Orochimaru, looking stunned and shocked as he looked at Naruto, unable to believe what just took place. Naruto then pressed both hands on the ground and started to destroy everything. The Sannin was forced to flee, shocked, surprise. Just what in the world was that boy? He thought to himself. Truly just seeing a taste of what Naruto can do. Naruto's sole interest had been on protecting his teammates, and hurting them pushed him into a rageful state. He desired Orochimaru's death, but the Sannin fled for his life. Turning back to Sasuke, he was alive. Is he okay? Sakura asked, checking Sasuke's pulse. Yes, alive but marked. Naruto stared at his gloves, now stained gray. We need to get him to the tower. Now. They carried Sasuke through the forest, fighting off opportunistic teams, barely sleeping, taking turns on watch. The curse mark pulsed like a second heartbeat, and when Sasuke finally woke 3 days later, something in his eyes had changed. What happened? He asked, touching the mark. Orochimaru happened, Naruto said. He bit you. Gave you something. I tried to stop him, but you weren't strong enough. Sasuke's voice was flat. It reminded the Uchiha of his own failure, but something was different. Sasuke felt a power bubbling under his skin. The mark had settled, a weakened calm, but more powerful than ever before. They reached the tower with hours to spare, their heaven and earth scrolls secured. Other teams filtered in slowly. Team 10 with Ino Shikacho intact. Team 8 with Hinata looking exhausted but determined. The Sand siblings with blood on their clothes and murder in their eyes. The preliminaries were announced immediately. Too many teams had passed. They needed to thin the herd before the finals. The matches will be one-on-one combat, Hayate, the sickly proctor, explained. Fight until your opponent surrenders, dies, or I call it. Any questions? No one spoke. They were all too tired, too wary, too focused on the board that would randomly assign matches. The first name appeared. Sasuke Uchiha vs Yoroi Akato. Sasuke won brutally, the curse mark spreading across his skin during the fight. His movements becoming more vicious, more desperate. He nearly killed his opponent before Kakashi intervened, sealing the mark with a jutsu that made Sasuke scream. Other matches followed in rapid succession. Shikamaru won through intelligence, trapping his opponent in an inescapable shadow. Neji Hyuga demolished his cousin Hinata with precise strikes that shut down her chakra points one by one. Naruto watched that fight with growing anger, watching Hinata get beaten down, watching her refuse to surrender even when she should have. "She's weak," Neji said as Hinata lay broken at his feet. "Destined to fail. Some things cannot be changed." "That's enough," the proctor called, but Neji didn't move. "Fate has decided she's a failure." "Who am I to?" "Neji." Naruto's voice cut through the arena like a blade. "Step away from her, now." The Hyuga prodigy turned, his Byakugan active, veins bulging around his eyes. "Or what? You'll touch me. Everyone knows your trick. Just don't let you get close and you're helpless." "Try me," Naruto said quietly. "Enough," the proctor said, stopping them from doing anything stupid. Naruto remembered Hinata rather well. Even from the academy, she didn't look at him the way many others did. And he hated the way people take advantage of people because they weren't strong enough, because they were different. It pissed him off. Uzumaki Naruto vs Kiba Inuzuka. The board announced, and the tension broke. Kiba and Akamaru entered the arena, cocky grins on both their faces. "This'll be easy. You can't use that decay thing in official matches, and without it, you're just a failed academy student." "Maybe," Naruto agreed. "Let's find out." The match lasted 15 seconds. Kiba opened with his clan's signature beast mimicry technique, he and Akamaru moving in perfect sync. Fast, coordinated, overwhelming for most genin. Naruto was faster. He'd spent months training with Kakashi, learning to move like a jonin, to predict attacks before they landed. He dodged the first combo, countered the second, and on the third, he swept Kiba's legs and put a kunai to his throat before the Inuzuka could blink. "Yield," Naruto said softly. Kiba yielded. The crowd was silent. Winner. Uzumaki Naruto. More matches followed. Tamari from Sand destroyed her opponent with wind techniques. Shino used his bugs to drain an enemy's chakra completely. And finally, the last match was called. "The preliminaries are over," Hayate announced. "The finals will be held in 1 month. Use that time to train, to heal, to prepare. The matches will be announced 1 week before the event." Days later, Naruto found himself intercepted by an old man with white hair, red lines on his face, and a perverted grin that immediately put Naruto on guard. "You're Naruto Uzumaki," the man said. It wasn't a question. "Who's asking?" "Jiraiya of the Sannin." The man's grin widened. "And I'm going to train you for the finals." "Why?" "Because you're interesting. Because Kakashi asked me to. Because the third Hokage thinks you need guidance." Jiraiya shrugged. "Pick whichever reason makes you feel better." Naruto studied him carefully. One of the legendary Sannin, as famous as Orochimaru, as powerful as Tsunade. If the stories were true, Jiraiya could fight Jonin-level opponents while drunk and still win. "What's in it for you?" Naruto asked. "Entertainment. Research material. The chance to mold a potential Hokage." Jiraiya's expression grew more serious. "And maybe helping a kid who reminds me of someone I used to know." "I don't need your pity." "Good, because I don't do pity. I do results." Jiraiya turned to leave. "Meet me at Training Ground 7 tomorrow at dawn. And bring your gloves. We're going to push your limits." The next month was hell. Jiraiya's training methods made Kakashi look gentle. He pushed Naruto past exhaustion, past pain, past the point where most genin would have quit. They worked on chakra control, on precision, on understanding the flow of energy through the body. "Your decay power interferes with jutsu because you can't control the interaction," Jiraiya explained during a break. "Your chakra wants to destroy everything it touches, including your own techniques. So we need to teach a discipline." He introduced the Rasengan, a jutsu created by the 4th Hokage that compressed chakra into a spinning sphere. No hand seals, pure shape manipulation, absolute control. "This technique is perfect for you," Jiraiya said. "The rotation channels the chakra constantly, giving it direction. If you can master this, you can channel your decay in controlled bursts instead of random destruction." Naruto failed hundreds of times. The chakra would spiral correctly, then decay mid-formation. Or it would hold stable, then explode when he tried to add more power. Or it would work perfectly until he touched something, and then both the Rasengan and the target would disintegrate. Again, Jiraiya said patiently. Control, precision, intent. It took 3 weeks, but Naruto finally created a stable Rasengan. The sphere glowed with normal blue chakra, spinning perfectly, waiting to be unleashed. Then Naruto pushed his decay power into it. The blue shifted to gray, then to black, the rotation accelerating until the sphere looked like a miniature void. Naruto pressed it against a tree, and the wood didn't just break. It crumbled, decayed, aged 100 years in seconds, turning to ash and splinters that scattered in the wind. Decay Rasengan, Jiraiya said softly. Well, that's terrifying. Is it too much? Naruto stared at his creation with mixed feelings. Too dangerous to use? For civilians? Absolutely. For shinobi combat? Jiraiya grinned. It's perfect. Just promise me you'll use it responsibly. I'll try, Naruto said, which was the best answer he could give. They trained other skills too. Taijutsu combinations that maximized his reach without requiring direct contact. Strategy for fighting multiple opponents. Survival skills for when missions went wrong. And during the quiet moments, Jiraiya told stories. About the previous generation of shinobi. About the 4th Hokage who'd created the Rasengan. About friendship and loss and the price of power. He never said Naruto was the 4th son. Never mentioned Minato Namikaze by name in connection to Naruto. But sometimes, late at night when they sat by the campfire, Jiraiya would look at Naruto with an expression that spoke of old grief and older hope. Naruto didn't ask. Some secrets were meant to stay buried. The finals arrived with fanfare and foreign dignitaries. The arena was packed with civilians eager for entertainment and ninja evaluating the next generation. Naruto felt their stares, heard their whispers, sensed their fear. Good. Fear meant respect. And respect was the first step toward acknowledgement. The matchups were announced. Naruto vs Neji Hyuga in the first round. Perfect. Neji entered the arena with absolute confidence, his Byakugan active, seeing every chakra point in Naruto's body. You cannot defeat me, Naruto Uzumaki. I've seen your limits. I know your every weakness. You know my chakra, Naruto corrected. But you don't know me. There's no difference. Fate has decided this match already. You're destined to lose because you're weak. Because you're cursed. Because you're controlled by fate? Naruto finished. Is that what you think? That we're all just puppets following a script? Yes. Neji's voice was cold, absolute. Some are born strong. Some are born weak. Nothing can change that fundamental truth. Naruto pulled off his gloves slowly, deliberately. The crowd gasped. Neji's eyes narrowed. You're wrong, Naruto said. I was born cursed. Born hated. Born with power I didn't ask for and couldn't control. Fate decided I'd be a monster. That I'd destroy everything I touched. That I'd die alone and forgotten. He held up his bare hands, showing the normal skin that hid such terrible potential. But I decided differently. I chose to control the curse. Chose to protect instead of destroy. Chose to become Hokage despite everyone saying it was impossible. Naruto met Neji's eyes. So no, fate doesn't decide anything. We do. Every choice, every action, every moment. We decide who we become. Proctor, begin the match, Neji said flatly. The fight was faster than most could follow. Neji opened with his clan's signature style, palm strikes aimed at chakra points, trying to shut down Naruto's system. But Naruto had trained with Jiraiya specifically for this, learning to redirect attacks, to flow like water around solid strikes. Neji refused to believe anything that Naruto had to say even during their fight. To show him further proof, he ripped the headband off, telling him why they're all fated, why they're all stuck to their fate, but Naruto called it bullshit. Every time Neji got close, Naruto's bare hands forced him to reconsider. The Hyuga prodigy was too smart to risk direct contact, which meant abandoning half his fighting style. You're afraid, Naruto observed, dodging a particularly vicious strike. Afraid of what happens if I touch you. That's not fate, that's choice. You're choosing to be afraid. I'm choosing to be smart. Neji's composure cracked slightly. Your power is cheap, a crutch. Without it, you're nothing. Then I won't use it, Naruto said, and pulled his gloves back on. The crowd murmured in confusion. Neji's eyes widened in shock. Fight me without the decay, Naruto challenged. Prove that fate matters more than choice. Neji attacked with renewed fury, no longer holding back, using the full Hyuga arsenal. 64 palms technique, rotation defense, precise strikes that should have ended the fight in seconds. Should have. But Naruto had learned from fighting Haku, from watching Sasuke, from months of training with two of Konoha's finest. He moved like water, like wind, like something that couldn't be pinned down or controlled. And when Neji overextended on a particularly aggressive combo, Naruto saw his opening. The Decay Rasengan formed in his gloved hand, gray chakra swirling ominously. Neji's eyes widened. Fate says I can't beat you, Naruto said softly. Let's prove it wrong. The collision sent shockwaves through the arena. The Rasengan, even with gloves dampening the decay effect, tore through Neji's rotation defense like paper. The Hyuga prodigy flew backward, slamming into the arena wall hard enough to crack stone. But Naruto wasn't finished. As Neji struggled to rise, Naruto's attack continued, the Rasengan still spinning. He drove it toward Neji's forehead, toward the curse mark on his forehead that bound all branch family members to servitude. The seal that represented everything Neji hated about fate. The Decay Rasengan touched the curse mark and something unexpected happened. The seal didn't just break. It decayed, the chakra construct crumbling, the binding loosening, until finally it shattered completely. Naruto had spent the last month training intensely hard, and it actually paid off. He decayed the chakra, that bone, that mark on his forehead, to show him, to make him understand that what he was talking about was wrong. No one was subjugated by fate. Neji gasped, his hand flying to his forehead. The mark that had controlled him since childhood was gone, replaced by fading gray lines that disappeared even as he touched them. You destroyed it, he whispered. The cage. You destroyed the cage. No, Naruto said, offering his gloved hand to help Neji up. You destroyed it, by choosing to fight someone who could break it, by choosing to push beyond your limits, by choosing to be free. Neji stared at the offered hand for a long moment. Then, slowly, he took it. Winner. Uzumaki Naruto, the proctor announced. The crowd erupted, not in fear or disgust this time, but in genuine appreciation. They'd witnessed something unprecedented, a genin using the fourth Hokage's technique, destroying a curse mark, and offering mercy to his opponent. As Naruto helped Neji to the medical station, he caught sight of Hinata in the stands. She was crying, but smiling too, her pride and relief obvious even from a distance. Something warm flickered in his chest again. This time, he didn't crush it. The invasion began during the second match. Sound and Sand Ninja revealed themselves among the crowd, their attack coordinated and devastating. Genjutsu flooded the arena, putting most civilians to sleep. Orochimaru, disguised as the case cage, trapped the third Hokage in a barrier atop the arena roof. All genin, protect the civilians. Kakashi's voice cut through the chaos. Chunin, engage the invaders. Jonin, with me. Team 7 regrouped instantly. Sasuke's curse mark was spreading despite the seal, his chakra fluctuating wildly. Sakura was terrified but holding a kunai with steady hands. Naruto was already moving, his gloves off, his decay power flooding out. The sound ninja made the mistake of engaging him first. Naruto didn't use precision or technique or careful control. He touched, grabbed, pressed his palms against armor and flesh and weapons. Everything decayed, everything crumbled, everything ended. It was butchery, not combat. A systematic dismantling of every enemy foolish enough to get close. Naruto left trails of ash in his wake, his face expressionless, his movements mechanical. Naruto. Sakura's scream snapped him back to awareness. He was destroying everything. He had to calm down. The adrenaline, the rush, the power was exploding out of him. On the roof, Hiruzen was fighting for his life against Orochimaru and two reanimated corpses. The first and second Hokage, brought back through forbidden jutsu, attacking their successor with dead eyes and eternal techniques. Sasuke headed off, as he decided to go after his opponent. Their battle was not over. Unfortunately, though, his opponent was a Jinchuriki. Kakashi told Naruto to go and help him, they will handle what is going on here. He told him to make sure that Gaara doesn't transform. Stop him before he does so as Naruto made his way, catching up with them. The siblings were knocked aside by their own brother as he was losing it. Sasuke did not stand a chance against Gaara. What he is now, his power was much too great. Gaara turned towards Naruto, just like him, he was also hated. He heard when the battle was going on, when Naruto was talking to Neji. He was not the only one bound by fate, but he broke his fate. Gaara wanted to understand. Naruto told him that he was like him, but he didn't choose to allow that to overtake him. Gaara scoffed as he was diving deep into the power. Why? Gaara screamed at them, his voice distorted. Why do you protect them? They hate you. fear you. You're just like me, Uzumaki. A monster. A weapon. So why fight for people who'll never accept you? Because they're worth protecting, Naruto said simply. Because being acknowledged isn't the same as being accepted, and I'd rather be acknowledged as a protector than accepted as a monster. Gaara's transformation accelerated. Naruto told Sasuke to stay back, who was furious at being outshined. Every attack that Gaara threw, Naruto decayed it. Every sand that erupted, Naruto destroyed it. Gaara grew frustrated and let loose as he transformed into Shukaku. The beast towered over everything. Naruto faced it head-on. The beast tried to destroy him. Naruto told Sasuke to get out of here as he ran off, making his way. He dodged and jumped, but the shockwave of the beast simply moving was so terrible. Naruto lay on the ground after a devastating blow. He refused. He refused to die. He slammed his hand down on the ground and destroyed everything, pouring his power out as the ground beneath Shukaku. It was destroyed and the beast stumbled. With that, Naruto leapt forward and formed a decaying Rasengan larger than before. When he slammed it within Shukaku's chest, it was devastating. The collision was cataclysmic. Sand decayed mid-flight, falling as ordinary dust. The chakra construct holding Shukaku together crumbled, sections disappearing into nothing. The tailed beast's scream shook the forest as it began to dissolve, forced back into Gaara's body by Naruto's relentless assault. When the dust cleared, Gaara lay on the ground, his transformation reversed, his sand armor decayed to nothing. Naruto stood over him, his decay Rasengan finally dissipating. "Why spare me?" Gaara whispered, barely conscious. "You could have killed me. Because you're not my enemy," Naruto said. "You're just someone who was hurt by a world that didn't understand you. I know how that feels. You." Gaara's eyes closed. "You understand." When they returned to the village, the battle was ending. The invasion had failed, but the price was visible everywhere. Destroyed buildings, injured shinobi, civilians in shock. And on the arena roof, where the barrier had finally fallen, the third Hokage's body lay still. Naruto climbed the stairs slowly, his legs heavy, his heart heavier. Hiruzen looked peaceful in death, his face calm, his hands positioned in the seal that had banished Orochimaru's reanimations. He'd won, but victory had cost him everything. "I'm sorry," Naruto whispered, kneeling beside the old man. The funeral was quiet. The whole village attended, mourning their leader, their protector, their third Hokage. Naruto stood apart from the crowd, his gloves firmly in place, his eyes dry despite the tears he felt inside days later. "Jiraiya found him. The leaf needs a new Hokage. And I want you to come with me. We're going to find her," he said. Naruto had thought he would take the position, but he was wrong. "Where is she?" "Last I heard, she was gambling somewhere." Naruto looked at the Hokage monument, at Hiruzen's face carved in stone, forever watching over them. "Let's go," he said. "The sooner we find her, the sooner I can start training to kill Orochimaru." They left that evening, slipping out of the village like shadows. The journey took them through towns and cities, following gambling reports and sake taverns. 2 weeks into the search, they found trouble instead. 2 members of the organization known as the Akatsuki arrived when Naruto was alone. Their main desire was to kidnap him. They've also heard things as well. Kisame was a force. Using his sword, he could steal chakra. But Kisame was warned by Itachi not to make the boy touch him. However, their battle did not commence as Sasuke arrived. Before this, their visit had been to Konoha, so Sasuke learned that his brother was back. Unfortunately, though, after all of this, he was still weak compared to Itachi. Kisame tried to stop Naruto as he raised that humongous blade of his. Naruto moved in. As Kisame's swing, the chakra that surrounded the blade was destroyed. However, it wasn't just that. The force behind the swing seemed to weaken so much that Naruto slipped underneath it. He reached to grab Kisame, but Kisame proved to be much faster as he jumped away. Feeling a sort of fear a moment ago, as he looked at that hand, him of all people that loved the lust of a battle, it was strange. Sasuke got the shit beaten out of him by his brother. As Naruto saw the opportunity and leapt forward, Itachi turned as Naruto destroyed the ground, forcing his foot to slip. Itachi had no choice as he looked into Naruto's eyes, placing him under an illusion. However, in the outside world, Naruto's hands were on the ground, and everything started to be destroyed. Even while his mind was submerged in the illusion, his power was working on pure instinct, it seems. Itachi realized that he had to wake him up, because if he did not, the entire town might be destroyed. Kisame was shocked, unable to believe that a child like this possessed such power. It was then that Jiraiya finally arrived. As Itachi purposely saved Sasuke from being caught up in all of that by moving him, acting like he was simply kicking his brother away, as Naruto woke up and gripped his arms, stopping his power that seemed to be spiraling out of control. The Akatsuki members, realizing the threat had escalated, chose to flee, with new information about a greater threat than they thought. Jiraiya looked around at the devastation that Naruto caused, Naruto looking at his hands. With his mind out of it for a moment, his power seemed to be working on its own to cause massive casualty and destruction. Sasuke was out of it, also put under illusion. It was a good thing that Guy had followed and arrived to take him back to the village. Jiraiya informed Naruto who they were, what he suspected their true desire was. Naruto was quiet than before. He need to learn more control. He need to learn how to resist certain things. He was already on his way after his fight with Neji, he decayed the chakra. He needed to be able to use it in a more defensive way. What he was saying was almost impossible, but if anyone can do it, perhaps it could be him, Jiraiya thought. They found Tsunade a week later, drunk in a casino, her legendary status reduced to bar tabs and gambling debts. She looked like her reputation, beautiful, dangerous, and deeply broken. Naruto had to keep his emotion in check. She disrespected the Hokage. She spat at the village like it was not something to respect. He was angry, but he kept himself calm. Orochimaru, who had paid her a visit, saw Naruto was there and refused to make a move. Orochimaru remembered what happened in the forest. Since now they so chummy with this boy, he feared another attack like that, and with his arms badly damaged, his defenses capability are drastically reduced. A man that seek immortality and fear death always choose the right thing to do. He decided that with Jiraiya being there as well, it was too risky, and that boy still being so much unknown, a true problem, he decided that he would simply flee. 2 weeks Naruto spent trying to convince her to return. It wasn't easy. She was broken, but as he realized that, she wasn't the only one. He just had to show her that. He talked about his fears and everything. It made her think about the past. Things that she needed to accept a long time ago. But this boy, so young with such a burden, more than one, and yet still find a way to go on. She started to soften. She started to change. She questioned one night, why does he do it? Surely he doesn't know. It was more than just acceptance from the people, more than just love. Maybe he just wanted to prove that he wasn't a monster. The next morning, she surprised him. She will return. They returned to Konoha as heroes. Tsunade was inaugurated as 5th Hokage within a week. Her medical expertise immediately put to use healing the invasion's wounded. The village began to truly rebuild, not just structures but spirit. But Sasuke was different. The Tsukuyomi, even broken early, had damaged something inside him. The curse mark grew stronger. His obsession with power intensified. And one night, he made his choice. He left. Naruto found out at dawn when Sakura came to his apartment, crying, explaining that Sasuke had gone to Orochimaru for power. That he'd abandoned them, abandoned Konoha, abandoned everything for strength. We had to bring him back, she begged. Please, Naruto, you're the only one strong enough. The retrieval mission was assembled quickly. Shikamaru led, his tactical mind planning the route. Choji, Kiba, Neji, and Naruto formed the strike team. They moved fast, following Sasuke's trail into the forest. They found him at the Valley of the End, the massive statues of Hashirama and Madara watching their confrontation. 4 sound ninja guarded Sasuke, but Naruto's team handled them efficiently. Which left Naruto and Sasuke facing each other where legends had once fought. You came, Sasuke said. His curse mark covered half his body, his chakra dark and violent. I knew you would. Come back, Naruto said. You don't need Orochimaru. You don't need this power. We can get stronger together. Together? Sasuke laughed bitterly. You don't understand. I need power now. Not in years, not eventually. Now. Itachi is out there, and every day I'm not strong enough to kill him is a day I've failed. Revenge won't fix what's broken inside you. Maybe not, but it's all I have. Sasuke's Sharingan blazed. Are you going to stop me, Naruto? Are you going to drag me back by force? Naruto's hands clenched into fists inside his gloves. He could do it. Pull off the gloves, touch Sasuke, decay him to nothing. End this quickly, painfully, permanently. But Sasuke was his teammate. His rival. His friend, in the strange way they developed friendship. I won't kill you, Naruto said. And I won't force you to stay. But I want you to see what you're giving up. The village. The people who care about you. The chance to be something other than revenge. They don't care about me, Sasuke said. They care about the Uchiha name. About having a Sharingan user. I'm just a tool to them, like you're just a weapon. That's not true, isn't it? Sasuke's voice grew colder. Be honest, Naruto. If you couldn't decay things, if you were just a normal orphan with no special power, would anyone have protected you? Would the Hokage have given you gloves and patience? Would Kakashi have trained you? Or would you have been beaten to death in an alley when you were 5? The words struck deeper than any jutsu. Because Sasuke was right, in a terrible way. Naruto's power made him valuable enough to protect, feared enough to control, useful enough to train. Maybe, Naruto admitted, but I chose what to do with that protection. I chose to use my power to help people. And you can choose too, Sasuke. Choose to stay. Choose to be more than your brother's shadow. I've made my choice. Sasuke's curse mark spread further. Now stop me or get out of my way. They fought. Not with full power, not with intent to kill, but with everything they had otherwise. Sasuke's Chidori crackled with lightning. Naruto's Rasengan swirled with contained destruction. They clashed in the center of the valley, and the impact sent shockwaves across the water. Naruto was stronger, faster, better trained. He could have ended it a dozen times, could have broken Sasuke's bones or crushed his chakra network or simply outlasted him. But that wasn't the point. The world is cruel, Naruto said as they broke apart, both breathing hard. It's brutal and unfair and it will hurt you at every opportunity. I learned that when I killed my first person. When I watched Hikuchu's death. When I saw the Hokage die protecting us. He pulled off one glove, letting Sasuke see the hand that could end everything. But the world is also full of people worth protecting. Worth fighting for. Worth staying alive for. Naruto pulled the glove back on. I can't convince you with words. I can't force you with power. So go, Sasuke. Go to Orochimaru. Get your strength. And when you come back, when, not if, I'll be waiting. We'll be waiting. Sasuke stared at him, his Sharingan seeing something Naruto couldn't. Then he turned and walked away. I will come back, Sasuke said without looking back. But not as your friend. As someone who's surpassed you. As someone who's killed Itachi. As someone who's achieved their purpose. That's fine, Naruto said. Just come back alive. Sasuke disappeared into the forest. Naruto stood alone in the valley. Rain beginning to fall, mixing with tears he finally let himself cry. He'd failed. Failed to bring Sasuke home. Failed to convince him. Failed to be strong enough or smart enough or good enough. Naruto. Hinata's voice was soft behind him. She'd followed somehow, her Byakugan probably tracking them the whole way. I let him go, Naruto said. Sakura asked me to bring him back and I let him go. You gave him a choice, Hinata corrected. She stood beside him, close enough that her presence felt warm despite the rain. That's more than most people would have done. Everyone thinks I should have stopped him. Used my power. Ended it. Everyone isn't standing here in the rain having their heart broken, Hinata said gently. You did the right thing, Naruto. Even if it hurts. Something in his chest cracked. All the control, all the careful distance, all the walls he'd built to protect himself from caring too much, they crumbled under the weight of this one failure. I'm tired, Hinata, he whispered. I'm tired of being the curse. The weapon. The monster everyone's afraid of. I just want to be normal. To touch people without gloves. To have friends who don't flinch when I get close. To be acknowledged for who I am, not what I can destroy. You are acknowledged, Hinata said. Her hand found his gloved one, holding it carefully. Maybe not by everyone, maybe not the way you want. But you're acknowledged by me. By Shikamaru. By Iruka-sensei and the Hokage and everyone whose life you protected. That's enough? It's a start. She smiled, and the rain seemed less cold. And you're not alone, Naruto. You've never been alone. You've just been too busy being strong to notice the people who want to be strong with you. He looked at their joined hands, his gloved, hers bare and trusting. What if I hurt you? What if I lose control and... Then I'll trust you to regain it, Hinata said simply. Because that's what people do when they care about each other. They trust. They hope. They believe in each other's strength. I care about you, Naruto said quietly. It was the first time he'd said it out loud to anyone. I'm scared of what that means. Me too, Hinata admitted. But I think being scared together is better than being safe alone. They stood in the rain, holding hands through gloves and barriers and years of careful distance. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a solution. But it was real, and it was theirs, and it was enough. Backup started to arrive. The journey back to Konoha was quiet. The retrieval mission had failed. Sasuke was gone. Orochimaru had claimed another student. The council would have questions. Sakura would be devastated. The village would see it as another sign of Naruto's curse, his inability to protect what mattered. But Naruto had learned something important in that valley. He'd learned that strength wasn't just about power or control or destroying enemies. It was about knowing when to fight and when to let go. When to push and when to trust. He told them that he couldn't stop Sasuke. Sasuke escaped. The Hokage, though, she saw what Naruto was capable of. Knowing many ways that Naruto could prevent Orochimaru from gaining another student, but unlike some, she trusted him. Tsunade studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. She accepted the report. None of their ninja died, she called it a win. He told Sakura that he will. They will bring Sasuke back. And she told him that she will get stronger. Jiraiya came to him. He wanted to train Naruto outside the village to properly control everything. Naruto went to pay Hinata a visit. She was always there from the beginning, even in the academy. But she was right, he was so focused on himself, he never truly noticed her. He told her that he would be leaving the village. He didn't know why, it just came to him that he wanted to talk to her. It was hard to explain. She told him that she understands, so she told him to come back stronger. She knew he will because he was never one to give up. He was stubborn that way, she smiled, and the smile made him so happy. They left a week later. Naruto said his goodbyes quickly, afraid that lingering would make leaving impossible. Hinata found him at the village gate, the sun setting behind her, painting everything in orange and gold. "I'll miss you," she said softly. "I'll miss you too." The words felt inadequate, too small for what he was feeling. "Promise me you'll come back," Hinata said. "Not as the curse or the weapon or the nine tails container. As you, as Naruto. I promise." He wanted to hug her, to hold her, to do something more than just stand there. But they were in public, and he was wearing gloves, and 3 years felt like forever. Hinata solved the problem by stepping forward and wrapping her arms around him, her head against his chest, her trust absolute. "Come back stronger," she whispered. "Come back ready to be Hokage. Come back ready to change everything." "I will," Naruto said into her hair. When they finally broke apart, Jiraiya was waiting with a knowing smile. "Ready, kid?" "Ready," Naruto said. They left Konoha as the sun set, walking toward uncertainty and training in the future. Naruto looked back once, seeing the village lights beginning to glow, seeing Hinata still standing at the gate watching him leave. He pulled off one glove and waved, bare-handed and unafraid. She waved back, and Naruto Uzumaki walked into 3 years of training, carrying the hope that when he returned, he'd be strong enough to protect everyone who'd trusted him with their hearts. Even if it meant facing the darkness inside himself. Even if it meant becoming the monster he'd always feared. Even if it meant destroying everything to save what mattered most. He was ready. 3 years changed everything. Naruto Uzumaki walked through Konoha's gates at dawn, the rising sun painting the village in shades of gold and promise. He was taller now, his frame filled out with muscle earned through relentless training. His blonde hair was longer, wilder, framing a face that had lost its boyish softness. The whisker marks were still there, 3 on each cheek, but they seemed less like a curse mark and more like battle scars worn with pride. His gloves were new, containing his power. But his eyes were old, carrying the weight of 3 years spent learning to be something more than human. "Naruto." Sakura's voice cut through the morning quiet. She'd grown too, her pink hair longer, her medical skills evident in the way she carried herself. She ran toward him, then stopped short, remembering the distance he always maintained. "Sakura." He smiled, and it was genuine. "You look strong. You look." She searched for words. "Different. Powerful. I had a good teacher." The words hurt to say. Jiraiya had been more than a teacher. More than a mentor. He'd been the closest thing to a father Naruto had ever known. They walked through the village together, catching up on 3 years compressed into an hour of conversation. Sakura told him about her training under Tsunade, about becoming one of the best medical ninja in the village. About how she'd stopped chasing Sasuke's shadow and started becoming her own person. "What about you?" she asked. "What did you learn out there?" "Control," Naruto said simply. "And how to stop being afraid of what I am." He visited Kakashi next, finding his former sensei reading at the memorial stone. They stood in comfortable silence, 2 people who understood loss, before Kakashi spoke. "Jiraiya said reports," he said. "Said you mastered Sage Mode. Said it was unlike anything he'd ever seen." "It's different," Naruto admitted. The toads at Mount Myoboku didn't know what to make of it. Natural energy mixed with decay, creating something that shouldn't exist. "But it works." "Show me sometime," Kakashi said. "When you're ready." "Soon," Naruto promised. "There's someone I need to see first." He found Hinata at the Hyuga compound's training grounds, moving through Kata with fluid precision. She'd grown beautiful in his absence, her confidence evident in every movement, her strength no longer hidden behind shy glances and stuttered words. When she saw him, she stopped mid-strike. For a moment, they just stared at each other across the training ground. 3 years of distance. 3 years of letters that said too much and not enough. 3 years of wondering if the feelings would survive separation. Then Hinata smiled, and Naruto's heart swelled with something he'd finally learned to name. Love. You came back, she said softly, walking toward him. I promised I would. He met her halfway, and when they were close enough to touch, he pulled off one glove. I learned something important while I was gone. What's that? That being strong enough to protect people means being brave enough to let them close. He held out his bare hand, an offering and a risk and a promise all at once. Even when it scares me. Hinata took his hand without hesitation, her skin warm against his. The Decay power stirred, recognized her presence, and settled back down under his absolute control. I missed you, she whispered. I missed you too. He squeezed her hand gently. More than I thought possible. They spent the next few days relearning each other, walking through the village, sharing meals, talking about everything and nothing. Naruto told her about Mount Myoboku, about the toads who'd helped him harness natural energy in ways that shouldn't work. About how his Decay power had evolved, becoming something he could channel through elements and air itself. Hinata told him about her training, about breaking free from her clan's expectations, about becoming strong enough that even her father had to acknowledge her worth. Things are different now, she said one evening as they sat on the Hokage monument, watching the sun set over Konoha. I'm different, you're different, but this. She held up their joined hands. This feels right. Yeah, Naruto agreed. It does. The peace shattered 3 days later. Gaara's been captured. Tsunade's voice was grim in the emergency meeting. The Akatsuki took him. They're extracting the One Tail as we speak. Naruto's blood ran cold. Gaara, who'd become a friend, who'd changed from monster to case cage, who'd proven that people like them could be more than their curses. Where? Naruto demanded. We have intelligence on their location. I'm sending 2 teams, Team 7 and Team Guy. Tsunade looked at Naruto directly. This is an A-rank mission minimum. Possibly S-rank depending on which Akatsuki members are there. Are you ready? I've been ready for 3 years, Naruto said. The journey to the Akatsuki hideout took 2 days of hard travel. Team Guy led the way with their speed, while Team 7 followed with Chio, an elderly puppet master from Sand who'd volunteered for the mission. The old woman watched Naruto carefully, seeing something in him that reminded her of old wars and older hatred. You're the Nine Tails container, she said. Not a question. Yes. And you care about the One Tails container? Even though he's from another village? He's my friend, Naruto said simply. That's all that matters. Chio studied him for a long moment, then smiled sadly. The world is changing, maybe for the better. They found the hideout hidden in a canyon, protected by a massive boulder sealed with chakra. The Akatsuki were inside, extracting Gaara's tailed beast through a ritual that would take days. The entrance is sealed, Kakashi said, analyzing the barrier. It'll take time too. Naruto placed his bare hand against the stone. Decay flooded out in controlled waves, the barrier disintegrating instantly, the boulder itself crumbling to dust. The entrance gaped open like a wound. Or we could do that, Kakashi said dryly. They found Gaara in the central chamber, lying motionless on a raised platform. The One Tail was gone, extracted completely. 2 Akatsuki members stood guard. Deidara with his explosive clay and Sasori with his puppet army. Well, Deidara grinned. The Nine Tails brat himself. This'll be art. Naruto stared at Gaara's body, at his friend's still face, and something inside him broke. He's dead, he whispered. You killed him. Occupational hazard, Sasori said from within his puppet shell. Nothing personal. Everything about this is personal. Naruto's voice dropped to something inhuman, something ancient and furious. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with the red chakra that began leaking from his body. You killed someone I cared about. Someone who understood what it meant to be like me. Someone who deserved to live. Naruto, wait, Kakashi started. I'll handle this, Naruto said. They came here for me. For the Nine Tails. So let them try to take it. He walked forward alone, his hands bare, his chakra erupting in waves that made the cave walls crack. Deidara sent his explosive birds first, dozens of clay creatures designed to detonate on contact. Naruto didn't dodge. He caught them mid-flight, his decay spreading through the clay faster than the explosive chakra could activate. Each bird crumbled to dust before it could detonate, raining ash instead of destruction. Impossible. Deidara created more, bigger, pouring chakra into his art with desperate intensity. Naruto destroyed them all. Then he was in front of Deidara, moving faster than the Akatsuki member could track, his hand closing around the bomber's chest. "You talk about art," Naruto said quietly. "But all you create is death. Let me show you real art." The decay spread slowly this time, deliberately. Deidara screamed as his body began to crumble, his explosive clay backfiring, detonating inside his own flesh. It took 30 seconds for him to die, 30 seconds of agony as everything he'd built turned against him. Sasori attacked while Naruto was distracted, his puppet army surging forward with poisoned blades and hidden weapons. 100 different ways to kill, all aimed at one target. Naruto touched the ground. Decay flooded through the cave floor like water, racing towards Sasori's puppets. Wood disintegrated, metal rusted instantly, poison evaporated. Within seconds, Sasori's entire arsenal was reduced to component parts scattered across ash-covered stone. "My art," Sasori whispered. "My eternal art." "Nothing's eternal," Naruto said, standing over him. "Everything decays. Everything ends. The only question is how much you hurt people before you do." He pressed his palm against Sasori's puppet shell, and the legendary puppet master crumbled with his creations, his human core exposed and vulnerable at the last moment. "At least," Sasori said as he died, "I created something beautiful." "You created weapons," Naruto corrected. "There's nothing beautiful about that." Silence fell over the cave. Team Guy and Team 7 stared at Naruto, at what he'd done, at how easily he'd dismantled two Akatsuki members who should have required a full team to defeat. "Naruto," Kakashi said carefully. "Are you?" "I'm fine." Naruto walked to Gaara's body, lifting him gently. "But he's not. We need to get him back to sand. Give him a proper funeral." "There might be another way," Chiyo said quietly. She'd watched the entire fight without moving, her ancient eyes seeing something the others missed. "I have a technique, a forbidden jutsu that can revive the recently dead. But it requires the life force of the caster." "You die," Naruto said. "Yes." Chiyo smiled peacefully. "But I've lived long enough. Seen too much war, too much hatred, too much death. If I can bring back someone like him, someone the next generation loves and respects, that's a good way to end my story." "Chiyo-sama, you can't," one of her guards started. "I can and I will." She moved to Gaara's body, her hands glowing with green chakra. "Besides, this old woman has been waiting for a chance to do something meaningful. To prove that our generation can still contribute to peace." The jutsu took 10 minutes. 10 minutes of Chiyo's life force flowing into Gaara's empty shell, of green light and desperate hope and the belief that sometimes death could be reversed. When it ended, Chiyo collapsed, and Gaara gasped awake. "What? Where?" Gaara looked around, confused, seeing Naruto's tear-stained face. "You're crying. Why are you crying?" "Because someone died to bring you back," Naruto said roughly. "Because we almost lost you. Because I'm tired of people I care about dying." Gaara sat up slowly, seeing Chiyo's body, understanding what had happened. "She gave her life for mine?" "She said it was worth it," Naruto said. "Said the next generation deserved a chance." They buried Chiyo in sand with full honors, the entire village mourning the woman who'd sacrificed everything for their cage. Gaara stood at Naruto's side during the funeral, both of them silent, both understanding that they'd been given a gift they could never repay. "Thank you," Gaara said afterward. "For coming. For avenging me. For caring enough to cry. That's what friends do," Naruto said simply. When they returned to Konoha a week later, Naruto was exhausted in ways that had nothing to do with physical training. He found Hinata waiting at his apartment, and when she saw his face, she knew something had changed. "What happened?" she asked. "Gaara died, then came back. Chiyo sacrificed herself. I killed 2 Akatsuki members." The words tumbled out in a rush. "And I'm still not strong enough. I'm still not fast enough. People I care about still die, and I can't stop it." "You brought Gaara back," Hinata said gently. "You saved him." "Chiyo brought him back. I just killed the people responsible." Naruto's hands trembled. "And even after killing them, I don't feel better. I don't feel like justice was served. I just feel empty." Hinata took his shaking hands in hers, holding them steady. "That's because revenge isn't the same as healing. And killing isn't the same as protecting." She met his eyes. "You saved your friend. That matters more than anything else. But what about next time? What about when someone else gets captured or dies or—" "Then we'll face it together," Hinata interrupted. "You don't have to carry everything alone anymore, Naruto. You have people who care about you. Who want to help. Who love you." The last word hung in the air between them, unspoken but finally said. I love you too, Naruto whispered. That's what scares me, because everyone I love ends up hurt or dead or... Hinata kissed him, soft and sure, cutting off his spiral into darkness. When they broke apart, she was smiling. I know the risks, she said. I've known them since we were children. But I choose this anyway. Choose you. Choose us. Her grip on his hands tightened. So stop trying to protect me from your life and let me be part of it. Okay, Naruto said, and felt something loosen in his chest. Okay. They spent more time together after that, learning to be in each other's lives without fear. Hinata accompanied him on missions when their schedules aligned. They trained together, ate together, existed together in ways Naruto had never thought possible. Months passed. Missions came and went. Naruto grew stronger, his control more absolute, his reputation spreading. The cursed genin had become the feared shinobi, the one who ended fights before they truly began. Then Jiraiya returned to the village. It was supposed to be routine. A quick check-in, a report to Tsunade, maybe some training with Naruto. The old Sannin looked tired but satisfied when Naruto found him at the bathhouse. Pervy sage, Naruto greeted with false cheer. Back so soon? Got some information about the Akatsuki, Jiraiya said seriously. Big information, the kind that could end this war before it starts. Then we should tell the Hokage. Gather forces, plan an assault. No. Jiraiya's expression was strange, almost peaceful. This is something I need to handle alone. One last mission for the legendary Jiraiya. That's stupid. Let me come with you. Can't, kid. This one's too dangerous. Even for you. Jiraiya ruffled Naruto's hair like he was still 12. But when I get back, we'll celebrate. I'll buy you all the ramen you can eat and tell you stories about your parents. My parents? Naruto's heart jumped. You knew them? Better than anyone. Jiraiya smiled sadly. But those stories can wait until I return. Until this is finished. Pervy sage. Take care of yourself, Naruto. And take care of that Hyuga girl. She's good for you. Jiraiya turned to leave, then paused. You've made me proud, you know. More proud than I ever thought possible. You've become exactly the kind of shinobi I hoped you'd be. Stop talking like you're saying goodbye, Naruto said, a chill running down his spine. Just being sentimental in my old age. Jiraiya waved without looking back. See you soon, kid. That was the last time Naruto saw him alive. A week later, the messenger toad arrived. Jiraiya had infiltrated the hidden rain village, discovered the truth about pain and the Akatsuki, and died fighting 6 opponents at once. His body had sunk into the ocean, beyond recovery, beyond goodbye. Naruto heard the news in Tsunade's office and felt the world stop. No, he said quietly. No, he can't be dead. He promised to come back. He said we'd eat ramen and he'd tell me about my parents and... I'm sorry, Tsunade said, and she was crying too. I'm so sorry, Naruto. The funeral was held without a body, just the memorial stone and too many people who'd lost too much. Naruto stood apart from the crowd, his gloves firmly in place, his face expressionless. He didn't cry at the funeral. Didn't speak. Didn't acknowledge the condolences offered by friends and strangers. He saved his grief for later, alone in his apartment, where he could scream and break things and let the decay power leak out until furniture crumbled and walls cracked and everything reflected the destruction inside his chest. Hinata found him there, surrounded by ash and ruin, his bare hands pressed against his face. Go away, he said roughly. I'll hurt you. I'll destroy everything. I always do. No, Hinata said simply. She sat down next to him in the ash, her white clothes immediately staining gray. You don't. Everyone I care about dies, Hinata. My parents, the 3rd Hokage, Jiraiya, everyone. It's the curse. It's what I am. You're someone who loves deeply, Hinata corrected. That's not a curse. That's being human. Humans don't turn everything they touch to ash. But you don't. She took his bare hand, risking everything on his control. You touch me and I'm fine. You touch Gaara and he lives. You touch the world and it becomes safer. The decay is just your power, Naruto. Not your destiny. He looked at their joined hands, at how she trusted him despite everything, and finally let himself cry. Real tears, not rage or frustration but genuine grief for a man who'd been more than a teacher. I'm going to make them pay, he said through tears. The Akatsuki, pain, all of them, they're going to learn what it means to take people I love. Then I'll help you, Hinata said. We'll make them pay together. The news came 3 weeks later. Sasuke had killed Orochimaru. The Snake Sannin, one of the 3 legends, defeated by a student who'd learned everything and betrayed him at the perfect moment. Sasuke was free, stronger than ever, and pursuing Itachi with renewed fury. Another person I couldn't save, Naruto said bitterly when he heard. Another failure to add to the list. But the world wasn't done taking from Naruto. Pain came to Konoha on a Tuesday morning, 6 bodies moving in perfect synchronization, destruction incarnate in human form. The village's defenses engaged immediately, but they might as well have been fighting the ocean. Tsunade ordered all available forces to defend the civilians, to evacuate the non-combatants, to prepare for the worst. She specifically ordered Naruto to stay in the village, to wait for support, to not engage alone. Naruto ignored her completely. He met Pain at the village gates, his bare hands already glowing with suppressed power, his voice cold as winter. "You killed Jiraiya," he said. "You invaded my home. You threatened the people I've sworn to protect." He pulled off his gloves. "If you want the 9 tails so badly, come and take it. Outside the village, just you and me." "Acceptable," the Diva Path said with Pain's collective voice. "We will honor your request." They fought in the forest outside Konoha, where the destruction wouldn't hurt civilians, where Naruto could use his full power without restraint. The 6 paths of pain were everything Jiraiya had described, overwhelming, coordinated, equipped with the Rinnegan's godlike abilities. It wasn't enough. "Sage mode," Naruto whispered, and the world shifted. Natural energy flooded his body, but it was wrong, corrupted by the decay power that lived in his cells. His eyes didn't turn toad-like. They turned black, completely black, like voids that consumed light. His skin took on a gray pallor, and the air around him began to shimmer as reality itself struggled to handle the conflicting energies. "What is this?" the Preta Path demanded, trying to absorb Naruto's chakra and finding it decaying its absorption technique from the inside. "Something that shouldn't exist," Naruto said. His voice was layered now, human and inhuman at once. A fusion of natural energy and decay. Sage mode powered by destruction itself. He moved, and the human path tried to grab him. Naruto caught its arm, and the decay spread not just through flesh but through the connection to Nagato's chakra network. The human path crumbled to ash in seconds. The animal path summoned creatures, massive beasts designed to overwhelm opponents. Naruto touched the air itself, and decay rippled outward like invisible waves. The summons disintegrated mid-charge, their connection to this plane severed by power that unmade reality. "Impossible," the Diva Path said. "You cannot decay space itself." "I'm not decaying space," Naruto corrected. "I'm decaying the chakra that maintains connections. The energy that holds summons here. The power that keeps your bodies linked to their controller." He smiled, and it was terrible. "I'm decaying you." The battle became a massacre. The Asura Path's weapons rusted before they could fire. The Preta Path's absorption failed when the chakra it tried to steal decayed on contact. The Naraka Path's summoning was unmade before the King of Hell could fully manifest. Until only the Diva Path remained. Nagato's primary body, the one with the greatest power. Almighty push. The technique sent Naruto flying, the same attack that had leveled portions of the village. But Naruto caught himself mid-flight, natural energy keeping him stable, and charged back. "Is that all?" Naruto demanded. "Is that the power that killed Jiraiya? That destroyed my home? That thinks it can take the 9 tails? You do not understand pain," the Diva Path said. "You do not know what it means to suffer, to lose everything, to watch the world burn." "Don't I?" Naruto's laugh was bitter. "I was born into suffering. Grew up hated, feared, alone. Lost everyone I ever cared about. Watched my teacher die, my Hokage die, my friend die and come back. I understand pain better than you ever will." He grabbed the Diva Path's chest, and this time, the decay didn't stop at the body. It spread through the chakra connection back to the source, hunting for Nagato himself. "Where are you?" Naruto growled. "Show yourself." The connection led him to a tree not far away, where Nagato sat skeletal and dying, Conan standing guard. The blue-haired woman attacked immediately, her paper techniques forming blades and wings. Naruto destroyed them all. Paper decayed to pulp, chakra constructs fell apart, and when Conan tried to restrain him with paper wrappings, they crumbled on contact. "Stop," she begged. "Please, he's already dying. Let him have peace." "Peace?" Naruto's hand hovered over her chest. "You talk about peace after attacking my village? After killing my teacher? After trying to steal the 9 tails? We were trying to end war," Conan said desperately. "To create a world where pain was understood, where people would be too afraid to fight. By creating more pain? More suffering? That's not peace. That's tyranny." Naruto's hand pressed against her chest, and Conan gasped as the decay began. "And I won't allow it." She crumbled slowly, her paper techniques failing, her body becoming ash. Nagato watched with empty eyes, his Rinnegan fading. "You'll kill me too?" he asked. "Yes," Naruto said simply. "Then you're no different than us. Then pain. Then the cycle of hatred. I never claimed to be." Naruto knelt beside Nagato, his hand raised. "I claimed to protect what's mine. And you threatened it." Before he could finish, an explosion rocked the clearing. The masked man, Obito, emerged from a portal, his hand already moving in seals. Explosive tags rained down, dozens of them, detonating in sequence to create a wall of fire and force. Naruto raised his arms to shield himself, his sage mode protecting him from the worst of it. When the smoke cleared, Obito stood over Nagato's body. More specifically, stood over Nagato's decapitated corpse, the head with its precious Rinnegan held casually in one hand. "You'll pay for that," Naruto snarled. "Perhaps, but not today." Obito's Sharingan glowed through his mask. "The plan continues, Naruto Uzumaki. War is coming, and you've just made yourself a primary target." He vanished into his portal, and Naruto was left standing in the ruins, surrounded by ash and blood and bodies, his revenge incomplete. "Naruto!" Hinata's voice called through the trees. She'd tracked him with her Byakugan, following the trail of destruction. She found him standing over Konan's remains, his hands bare and gray with ash, his eyes still black from sage mode. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "No." He looked at his hands, at what they'd done, at the death he'd caused. "But I don't feel any better. Jiraiya is still dead, the Akatsuki still exist, and all I did was create more bodies." "You protected the village," Hinata said firmly. "You stopped them from taking the 9 tails. You avenged your teacher as much as anyone could. Then why does it feel like I lost?" "Because revenge isn't healing," Hinata repeated her earlier words. "But that doesn't mean it wasn't necessary." She took his hand. "Come home, let's rest. Tomorrow we'll figure out what comes next." What came next was war. The Raikage called an emergency summit 2 weeks later, his brother Killer Bee having barely escaped an Akatsuki attack. Sasuke had apparently joined the organization, his Sharingan fully evolved, his power grown to legendary levels. The Akatsuki are no longer just hunting tailed beasts, the Raikage announced to the gathered cage. They're preparing something bigger, something that requires all the tailed beasts. And they've declared war on the entire Shinobi world to get them. "Then we respond with our own declaration," Tsunade said. "A united front. The 5 great nations working together for the first time in history." "Agreed," said the other cage. The 4th Great Shinobi War was declared, and the world prepared for apocalypse. Naruto spent the days before deployment with Hinata, knowing that one or both of them might not survive what was coming. "I'm afraid," he admitted one night as they sat on the Hokage monument, watching the village prepare for war. "Afraid of losing you. Afraid of failing again. Afraid that my power won't be enough." "I'm afraid too," Hinata said. "But I'm also hopeful. Because we're not alone anymore. We have each other. We have the village. We have allies across the entire world." She leaned against him. "Whatever happens, we face it together." "Together," Naruto echoed, and it felt like a promise. The war began on all fronts simultaneously. The Akatsuki, led by the masked man, fielded an army of reanimated shinobi, legendary warriors brought back through forbidden jutsu to fight for an apocalyptic goal. The allied shinobi forces responded with numbers and coordination, but the dead were relentless, tireless, and too powerful. Naruto found himself assigned to the front lines immediately, his power too valuable to keep in reserve. He fought alongside Killer Bee, the 8 Tails Jinchuriki, both of them marked as priority targets. "So you're the brat with the decay touch," Bee rapped cheerfully. "Let's see if you can keep the pace, yo." They fought together, 2 Jinchuriki tearing through reanimated forces with techniques that rewrote the battlefield. Naruto's Decay Rasengan obliterated dozens of enemies per strike, and he'd learned something crucial. Reanimated shinobi relied on chakra connections to resurrect after damage. Decay severed those connections permanently. "He's not just killing them," an allied commander observed. "He's freeing them. Their souls are released instead of trapped." It made Naruto a priority target for both sides. The reanimated shinobi wanted to stop him from releasing their comrades. The allied forces wanted to protect their secret weapon. The battles blurred together. Days of constant fighting, nights of brief rest, moments of terror punctuated by moments of camaraderie. Naruto fought beside Hinata when their units converged, protecting each other's backs, combining their techniques in ways that surprised everyone. Then Madara Uchiha appeared on the battlefield, and everything changed. The legendary founder of the Uchiha clan, reanimated at the height of his power, with the Rinnegan active in techniques that reshaped reality. He tore through the allied forces like paper, his perfect Susanoo dwarfing anything Sasuke had achieved. So this is the Nine Tails container, Madara observed, looking at Naruto with ancient eyes. You've grown strong, perhaps strong enough to be interesting. I'm strong enough to stop you, Naruto said. Prove it. The fight was legendary. Madara's Susanoo swung its sword, and Naruto decayed the chakra construct piece by piece. The Uchiha summoned meteors, and Naruto destroyed them mid-fall. Reality warping techniques met power that unmade reality itself. Impressive, Madara admitted, but insufficient. Madara let loose massive trees that could swallow the entire battlefield. Naruto could not decay them all at once without destroying everything with his allies around. Madara's power seemed to be infinite, as he kept his distance as well, loving the battle between himself and this child. When the Nine Tails reached out, the Nine Tails had watched Naruto for the longest time now, and it preferred to stay here than be taken by that Uchiha bastard. For years, Naruto had kept the Nine Tails suppressed, afraid that combining his decay with the Demon Fox's power would create something uncontrollable. But now, with Madara's power growing, he had no choice. You sure about this? Naruto asked internally. Kid, if Madara wins, we both die. If we work together, we might survive. Easy math. Kurama's chakra flooded out. Now stop whining and let's show this ancient fool what real power looks like. The transformation was instant. Red chakra cloaked Naruto's body, forming the Nine Tails shape around him, but it was wrong, corrupted by the decay power. The chakra cloak was black at the edges, crumbling and reforming constantly, both there and not there. What is this? Madara's eyes widened slightly. A Jinchuriki transformation merged with decay? That shouldn't be possible. Neither should you, Naruto said, his voice layered with Kurama's. But here we are. Things were different, Madara quickly realized. Far surpassing what he had done in Sage Mode, Naruto was reaching beyond the veil. You're decaying my jutsu across dimensional barriers, Madara said, and for the first time, he sounded impressed. Remarkable. You truly are special, Naruto Uzumaki. I'm not special. I'm desperate. Naruto formed a tailed beast ball, pouring decay into it, creating something that pulsed with combined destruction. And I'm done playing with legends. He fired. Madara's Susanoo tried to block it and disintegrated on contact. The Uchiha himself barely dodged, his reanimated body taking damage that should have been impossible to inflict. This power, Madara said, his form starting to crack. This absolute decay. It's not just destroying matter. It's destroying the very concept of immortality. My reanimation is failing. Good, Naruto said. You've been dead long enough. Time to stay that way. The final attack was massive. Naruto and Kurama combined their power into a single strike. Sage Mode and Tailed Beast Chakra and Decay all fused together. When it hit Madara, the legendary Uchiha didn't just die. He unmade, his reanimation severed, his soul freed from the technique that had bound it. Even in his final moments as he lay on the ground, only his torso remaining that could not be reformed, he laughed to the heavens. He couldn't believe it, after all that planning, all that preparation to actually lose, but he had to say it was one hell of a battle. However, the battle was not over just yet. Someone had also interfered with the reanimations, stopping them completely while the battle was going on, and Naruto collapsed from exhaustion. The war raged on. With Madara defeated, the allied forces pushed forward, reclaiming territory, destroying the remaining Zetsu. Naruto fought until he couldn't stand, then fought some more, his body breaking down, his chakra depleting. But they were winning, until Obito revealed his true goal. The masked man had been collecting tailed beast chakra from fallen Jinchuriki, from the reanimated Gold and Silver brothers who'd once consumed the Nine Tails' flesh. When he had enough, he summoned the 10 Tails, the primordial beast from which all other tailed beasts came. The creature was massive beyond comprehension, its power shaking the entire continent. And before anyone could stop him, Obito sealed it inside himself, becoming the 10 Tails Jinchuriki. This is it, Obito said, his voice echoing with power. The beginning of true peace. The infinite Tsukuyomi that will trap everyone in perfect dreams, ending all conflict, all pain, all suffering. That's not peace, Naruto argued. That's running away. That's giving up on reality because it's too hard. Says the boy who decays everything he touches, Obito sneered. You think I don't know suffering? I've lost everything. My friends, my love, my ideals. At least my plan offers hope, even if it's false. False hope isn't hope at all. They fought. Naruto in his 9 tails cloak, Obito with the 10 tails absolute power. The battle reshaped the landscape, techniques that cracked mountains and boiled oceans colliding in displays that made previous fights look like sparring matches. Sasuke arrived partway through, his own power evolved to legendary heights, his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan blazing. He fought alongside Naruto not out of friendship but out of pragmatism, recognizing Obito as the greater threat. "Still letting people go, Naruto?" Sasuke said as they coordinated attacks. "Still chasing revenge, Sasuke?" Naruto countered. "Always. But even together, even with their combined power, Obito was overwhelming. The 10 tails chakra made him nearly invincible, able to regenerate from any wound, to absorb most attacks, to counterattack with devastating force. Then Black Zetsu struck. The creature that had been manipulating events for centuries chose that moment to betray Obito, using the man's distraction during combat to seize control. Obito screamed as his body became a vessel, as something ancient and evil took over his power. Finally, Zetsu said with Obito's voice, "After 1,000 years, Mother can return." Obito's body began to transform, expanding, changing, becoming something else. When the transformation completed, a woman stood where the 10 tails Jinchuriki had been. White hair, pale skin, horns growing from her head, and eyes that held the Rinne Sharingan. Kaguya Otsutsuki, the primordial goddess, the mother of chakra itself. "What is that?" Sakura whispered, arriving with medical support. "That's something we were never supposed to fight," Sasuke said, his Sharingan analyzing her chakra. "Her power is beyond anything we've encountered. Beyond Madara, beyond the 10 tails, beyond comprehension." Kaguya looked at them with empty eyes. "You are the current Jinchuriki," she said, Zetsu telling her everything as she focused on Naruto. "Return my power." "Not happening," Naruto said, but even he could feel the difference. This wasn't an enemy he could just decay. This was something fundamental to reality itself. She attacked, and dimensions shifted. The battlefield changed to a world of lava, then ice, then gravity that crushed normal humans flat. Kaguya moved between realities like walking through doors, her techniques operating on levels that broke conventional understanding. "We can't win," Sasuke said. "Not like this. She's too powerful." "Then we make ourselves more powerful," Naruto replied. He reached inside himself, to Kurama, to the Sage Mode, to the Decay that lived in his cells. "I'm going to try something stupid. Cover me." He pulled all his power together. Fox Chakra, Natural Energy, and Decay, forcing them to combine deeper than ever before. The transformation hurt, felt like dying and being reborn simultaneously. When it completed, Naruto stood in a form that defied description. The 9 tails cloak was black shot through with red, constantly crumbling and reforming. His Sage Mode marks were visible but wrong, like scars on reality. And around him, space itself began to decay, small patches of nothing appearing and disappearing. "What have you become?" Kaguya asked, and for the first time, she sounded uncertain. "Something that shouldn't exist," Naruto said. "Something that can end you." He moved, and reality bent around him. His hand touched her arm, and Kaguya actually flinched as decay spread through her godlike body. She shifted dimensions to escape, but Naruto followed, his new power allowing him to sense the dimensional barriers and decay them. "Impossible," Kaguya said. "You're decaying my dimension shifts. You're unmaking reality itself." "Just the parts you control," Naruto corrected. "The chakra connections, the energy pathways, the very concept of your techniques." He grabbed her with both hands. "You've been a god for too long. Time to remember what it means to die." Kaguya fought back with everything she had. All killing ash bones that should have disintegrated anything they touched. Dimensional shifts that trapped enemies in isolated realities. Truth-seeking orbs that negated all ninjutsu. Naruto decayed them all. The ash bones crumbled mid-flight. The dimensional shifts failed as their connections broke. The truth-seeking orbs dissolved before reaching him. When they returned back to the elemental nation, Sasuke saw that she was running. He summoned his Susanoo and fired arrows, forcing her to dodge, giving Naruto the opening as he reached her and gripped onto her. Decay flooded through her, not just through her body, but through her essence, her chakra, her very existence. Kaguya screamed as she began to unmake, her godlike form crumbling, her power dissipating. "You cannot kill me," she said. "I am eternal. I am the origin. I am." Dying, Naruto finished, just like everyone else, just like everything else, because nothing lasts forever. The decay accelerated. Kaguya tried to separate from her body, to escape as pure chakra, but Naruto had decayed that possibility already. Decayed the concept of her immortality, the foundation of her power, the very idea that she couldn't be killed. She collapsed into ash, and Black Zetsu with her, both ancient beings finally ended by power they'd never anticipated. Silence fell over the battlefield. Is it over? Sakura asked. It's over, Naruto confirmed, his transformation fading. He collapsed immediately, his body pushed far past its limits. It was over. The battle was done. They had won. They had actually won. Sasuke stood there, looking down at Naruto, but things are different now. His ideology, his ways, everything was different. From that moment when they talked at the Valley of the End, where Naruto gave him the opportunity to run, if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for Naruto not trying to physically force him back, Sasuke would have probably killed him right now because he was weakened and decided to take the elemental nation and fix it. But his own journey led him to different views on the world. Seeing his brother again, everything felt so different. Naruto woke in the medical tent a week after the final battle, his body covered in bandages, his chakra depleted to dangerous levels. The first person he saw was Hinata, sitting beside his bed, her hand holding his gloved one. "You're awake," she said, smiling through tears. "You scared everyone. The medics said you'd pushed your body so far past its limits that you shouldn't be alive. Takes more than a goddess to kill me," Naruto tried to joke. "How long was I out?" 7 days. The war's over. We won. Hinata's smile widened. "You did it, Naruto. You saved everyone." "We did it," Naruto corrected. "All of us together." The recovery took months. The Allied forces disbanded slowly, Shinobi returning to their villages, beginning the long process of rebuilding. Naruto remained in Konoha, healing, training carefully, learning to live in a world without constant war. Sasuke found him 3 months after the war ended, standing on the Hokage monument at sunset. "I'm leaving," Sasuke said without preamble. "Going to travel. To atone for what I've done. To figure out who I am without revenge consuming me." "Will you come back?" Naruto asked. "Eventually. When I found peace." Sasuke looked at Naruto directly. "You were right. At the Valley of the End. About choosing paths, about actions over words, about everything. I was too angry to hear it then. But I hear it now." "You're not asking permission," Naruto observed. "No, but I wanted you to know that." Sasuke paused, struggling with words he'd never learned to say. "That you changed me. That knowing you made me better than I would have been. That our friendship, strange as it is, matters." "It matters to me too," Naruto said. They stood in silence for a moment, two rivals who'd become something more than enemies but less than traditional friends. Then Sasuke turned to leave. "Naruto," he called back. "When I return, I expect you to be Hokage. Don't make me wait too long." "Wouldn't dream of it," Naruto promised. He found Hinata waiting at the base of the monument, her white eyes glowing softly in the fading light. "Sasuke's gone?" she asked. "For now. He'll be back." Naruto took her hand, their fingers intertwining naturally. "But right now, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about wars or enemies or the future. I just want to be here, with you, in this moment." "Then let's make it a good moment," Hinata said, and kissed him. It was different from their first kiss, less desperate, more certain. A kiss that spoke of future instead of fear, of hope instead of desperation. When they broke apart, both were smiling. "I love you," Naruto said clearly, without hesitation or fear. "I love you too," Hinata replied. "Always have, always will." "The future's uncertain," Naruto said. "I don't know what comes next. Don't know if I'll be Hokage or if the peace will last or if." Hinata silenced him with another kiss, shorter but no less meaningful. "The future can wait," she said. "Right now, we have each other. We have the village. We have peace. That's enough." "Yeah," Naruto agreed, pulling her close. "That's enough." They stood together on the Hokage monument as night fell over Konoha, two shinobi who'd survived war and loss and their own inner demons. The village below glowed with lights, with life, with the promise of tomorrow. Naruto's gloves stayed on, but Hinata's hands were warm in his, and for the first time in his life, he didn't feel cursed. He felt human. He felt loved. He felt like maybe, just maybe, he deserved the acknowledgement he'd always craved. "Come on," Hinata said eventually. "Let's go home." "Home," Naruto repeated, and the word felt right. "Yeah, let's go home." They walked down from the monument hand in hand, heading toward a future uncertain but shared. Behind them, the faces of the previous Hokage watched over the village, and among them, Hiruzen's carved features seemed to smile with approval. The boy who brought ruin had become the man who brought peace. And in the end, that was all that mattered. The end.